Phoenix Knights. Chapter 351 Two Beast Fists. Chapter 351 Two Beast Fists. Roar! A dragon roar reverberated, and Xuanji's face turned more and more savage as his left arm released a golden glow, and a dragon image flowed along it. Constant snapping sounds were heard, and his skin actually transformed into dragon scales. Lastly, his entire hand turned into a dragon claw. A mere twitch of his fingers was enough to tell you how sharp they were as they whistled through the air. "Earth Dragon Claw!" Xuanji said. He turned his vicious eyes at the four scared cats and said, "Over the last month, I've trained to integrate with the dragon vein's soul. So transforming goes without saying, ha ha ha." Then he swung his claw at the ground. Boom! A yellow glow flashed and a glowing arc split the ground on the spot. It passed through everything, snapping things in two. Not even the mountains were spared. It went strong for the better part of a mile. Before the yellow wave attack vanished, everyone watched on in shock. Xuanji cultivated for just 1 month, and he came out not only layers above, but even his body was monstrous now. Even the renowned body cultivators in the Radiant stage would be reduced to pieces under that claw. They all watched Xuanji with dread. Now, even if he didn't use the bloodworms, he could still put them in their place. Not that they dared mess with him to begin with. Xuanji's body strength far exceeded theirs. "Abominable Four, which one of you little shits would like to go first?" Xuanji waved the dragon claw around, like a demon archon about to hand over the sentence to some imps. The 4 scheming demons were scared to death, choking on their own words. Holy hell! Is this a joke? What's going to be left of me after that punch? They were truly regretting it now, knowing Xuanji's capacity for abnormality. Each time Steward Xue went into seclusion was like being born anew, coming up with new and outrageous ways to be overpowered. Case in point, Xuanji's current seclusion shot him way beyond all those present. They were totally unprepared, but now they had to roll with it. They should have seen this coming and should have dropped on their knees to beg for mercy instead. But how were they supposed to do that now? The 4 sighed, their smiles laid thick with a heavy sense of begrudging and self-deprecation. But soon, Sly Demon's eyes probed. "Steward Xue, your Earth Dragon Claw is marvelous. I wonder though, can you do that with both hands?" "Only the left." Xuanji could see his thinking from a mile away, yet he didn't hide it. Sly Demon lit up and he gathered his pals around for a little bro talk. Then they came out laughing. Violent Demon puffed up his chest and stuck his chin out. "Steward Xue, didn't you say we can choose which hand? You're a man of your word, right? But of course, though it won't change anything." Xuanji smiled. "So I decided to use the left in dishing out your punishment." "No, we've changed our minds. We want the right one." Violent Demon pointed at his brand new hand with a cackle, sending a condescending gaze his way. Xuanji looked at his own right hand and shook his head. "This won't end well." "And why not? Come on, Steward Xue, you are a clan steward, your words are worth gold. You can't go saying something on one hand and do another on the other. Or no one would trust you." Violent Demon urged on. Seeing him hesitate, Xuanji raised an eyebrow and smiled. "Oh, reverse psychology. Not bad at all. All right, we'll do it your way. Here comes my right." The 4 rejoiced, with Wimp Demon even giving a thumbs up and sucking up to his bro. "That's our bro, insightful and glib. He has just received that arm and hasn't practiced using it yet. It must be the weakest. It will snap like a twig the instant it touches us. Good going, bro. Dang right, or I ain't your eldest bro." Violent Demon stuck out his chin. Sly Demon was annoyed and backhanded Wimp Demon. "Cut the bull, that was my idea. Whose ass are you kissing? By all rights you should be kissing mine." Wimp Demon looked aggrieved with that red face. Violent Demon was growing irate and backhanded Sly Demon too. "You're the bullshitting one. I'm the eldest bro. Without my wise leadership you'd never come up with this plan. All credit goes to me. You're the one bullshitting. I said it first. It was my idea. Why should you take credit?" Sly Demon was pissed off and started throwing punches at Violent Demon. The other 2 demons were cheering, but it wasn't long before they joined in for a much-needed bonding, and so, for little demons played their little act per usual. Same old, the elders having front row seats of the spectacle had brooding moods. These little shits are a lost cause. They've already forgotten why Steward was angry, why he was punishing them. They were going at it right in front of him, like everything was right as rain, no harm done. Glancing over at Xuan, everyone could see the throbbing vein on his forehead. You four, are you ready for my fist? Xuan's patience was running dangerously low. The four scheming demons weren't stopping on his account, yet they had the time to speak in unison. Don't mind us, dear thing. Knock yourself out and have your fill of punching. Despise, condescension, and contempt, these four demons weren't buying Xuan's bravado. Thinking his right arm wasn't up to snuff, Xuan smiled in anger and moved his hand around. Ha ha ha, you sure are experts to want so many punches. That's fine, let's give you a little taste first, shall we? Xuan's eyes flashed with bloodthirst and he punched. Tangible projection, sky-piercing Qilin arm. Boom! Like a flood, Xuan's right arm shined red and swelled. His thick arm became like a giant steel wall barreling straight for the demons. That terrifying might stole the breath of even these sixth layer of radiant stage experts. Ducking their heads instinctively, whoosh! The red glow shot over the demons into the sky. Boom! Like an artillery blast, the Qilin's sacred arm rumbled the space wherever it passed and pulverized everything else, with the space in front of the fist taking the brunt of the hit, warping constantly, and making a 300 feet tall cliff crumble into nothing once silence set in. All that was left in the eyes of the onlookers was desolation, and not much else. The shock was so great that they were in denial. Everyone knew Xuan would have an outrageous power boost, but who'd have seen that? One coming? Not them. That thing could crush the world. The four scheming demons were shivering on the spot, their faces void of blood. It was a déjà vu moment for them. Gu Santong had done the same thing. One invincible punch to crush everything. Gulping, the four scheming demons found it hard to look at the red pillar in the sky. They knew they had messed up and were on the verge of crying. You call that a hand? That's a pylon. The slightest touch will turn us into meat patties. I'd take the dragon claw anytime, thank you very much. They blindly took Xuan's new arm for a newborn's, when in fact it was a weapon of mass destruction. Moreover, are those the arms of a human? Gasping, Xuan withdrew the Qilin leg back to being his arm and nodded pleasingly. Transformation was a secret art of changing shape. That meant turning his left arm into the earth dragon claw of a sacred beast taking human form, while tangible projection meant transformation of returning to its original form. His Qilin arm looked like an arm and was tough beyond imagination, but only through this tangible projection of turning the Qilin arm back to the Qilin leg could he unleash the sky-piercing Qilin power. Yet this wasn't all the Qilin leg could do, limited as it was by his low cultivation. Had he put too much power into the blow, he'd be going down with it. But even when limited, for the whole of Tianyu, it was more than enough. With the earth dragon claw on his left and the Qilin arm on his right, no enemy could contest him in Tianyu. Xuan grinned, awfully full of himself now that he took notice of the others. Their minds had taken a vacation, it seemed, betrayed by their dumb looks. While the four demons were shaking like leaves with a demonic smile, Xuan swished his right hand. You four said to keep them coming, right? Want another one? No, Steward Xue, you're too awesome. We don't dare to play in front of you. How about you use the blood infant to punish us? That punch of yours will splatter us. You wouldn't want the Luo clan's last 5 years of investment to be for nothing, would you? The four demons' heads were pounding and snot was coming out of their noses. Xuan smiled. Ha ha ha, you four just keep begging for mercy. Fine, I'll let it slide just this once, but you better get this straight. If I find you slacking on the job again, there won't be a next time. I'll flatten your heads on the spot. Steward Xue, worry not, it won't happen again. The four demons shook their heads and vowed only then did Xuan nodded and looked in the distance. Good. It's time we go to the Imperial capital and regroup with the others. Yes. Everyone cupped their hands as they accepted the order. Even the playful and sly demons turned respectful on the spot. Chapter 352 Imperial Capital Ceremony. Chapter 352 Imperial Capital Ceremony. Imperial capital, the the Imperial Palace's gates. There were 360 copper inlays in the 9 heavy 3-meter-tall gates. Set in the shape of macrocosmic orbit array, it was an everlasting symbol of peace, and Imperial power guards strapped in golden armor stood before each grand gate with grace and dignity, releasing a heavy pressure on anyone who came close. Even fresh cultivators could feel the presence of 1,000 of these profound heaven experts. The Imperial family's power had always been the strongest in Tianyu. A crowd had gathered outside these gates since the crack of dawn, now in awe of such a display of power. How long had it been since the Imperial family had held a ceremony? No one knew, since this was their first. On such occasions, delegates were to come from every clan in Tianyu, from the biggest houses to the smallest. The last time such a gathering took place was centuries ago, when everyone banded together and repelled invaders from their border. It was quite plain to see how much weight the Imperial family had attributed to the bestowal of the 8th noble house title. The Luo clan, a mere third-rate clan, was now going to be wallowing in honor. They had simply won the esoteric debate, but was it that great an achievement to have the whole of Tianyu take part in its award ceremony? Some small clans, waiting in the biting cold outside the gates, begged to differ. Why don't we get that kind of treatment? The many clans gathered before the Imperial Palace's gates were feeding the rumor mill as they discussed. Some were envious, and some were in awe, but what predominated everyone was reverence. It had never happened before, and the difficulty could be imagined. A third-rate clan was, in their time, entering the rank of houses and even receiving the Imperial family's approval. Since a third-rate clan could be so hardworking, the other lowly clans had no reason to stagnate and contend with the status quo. Why, young master, wait! Among the tight crowd, a proud and dashing youth, wearing a scholar's hat, kept on walking even as the apprentice scholar behind him yelled. He only stopped when he reached the front of the throng of people, his eyes shining like stars, looking all around him. I'm finally out. Why, young master, we have to go back or I'll be punished. The child squeezed in front as well. Her cute and squishy face made him so adorable. The young master only smiled. I've been stuck home for ages. Now that I'm out, time to have some fun. Why the hell would I go back now? This is the Imperial Palace's 8th House Award ceremony, the event of the millennium. The last time this happened was at the Empire's founding. I want to see with my own eyes what makes this 8th house so great, so powerful to make His Majesty break the 1,000-year-long convention. Looking about, assured that no one noticed his slip of the tongue, the youth stuck out his tongue and smiled. The child was even more distraught. Why, young master, you've had your fun for 4 hours already. It's time we head back, or with your temper we won't get away with a simple punishment if anything happens. Stop yapping. The young master bopped the child on the head, annoyed. You dare talk to me this way? When I get back, it's the cane for you. Then why did you bring me with you? To punish me? If anything happens to you, my life's on the line. You. The young master glared, angry. Was he that weak to not survive one hit in front of so many people? Seeing how he wanted to slip away all the time, he was just like a human trafficker. Was he that useless? His Highness, the Crown Prince, has arrived. With a sharp cry, a refined sedan chair entered everyone's eyes. Once it stopped, an elegant and dignified youth wearing a golden robe with 4 dragon claws on it stepped out. The purple golden guards rushed forward to steer clear the clans, forming a 3-meter-wide path. The Crown Prince walked in front towards the Imperial Palace's gates. Damn, it's eldest brother. Don't let him find us. The young master lowered his head and pulled the child into the crowd. The child could only follow. The Crown Prince suddenly stopped, then bowed to his surroundings in apology. Before the 7 houses arrive, we are unable to open the gates. I am dreadfully sorry to have everyone wait out here in the biting winds and piercing cold. Please accept my sincere apology. The Crown Prince gave a half bow. The crowd was frantic in returning the bow. Their hearts went to him. He was such a proud and wise figure. He was sure to go places. Ha ha ha, eldest bro is making nice again. Did you earn some sympathy points? Some rather sharp and venomous words resounded. The people whipped their heads to see who dared be so crass towards Tianyu's Crown Prince. What they saw was a glum youth bearing a striking resemblance to the Crown Prince. He wore the same dragon-clawed robe, Just that he only had 3. The people realized he was Crown Prince Yuanbo's brother. Second Prince Yong. Crown Prince eyed him coming over with a trace of anger. Second brother, what are you suggesting? Every clan in Tianyu has gathered at our great imperial capital at the invitation of the imperial family. Shouldn't I, the Crown Prince, show these people gathered here in the biting winds and piercing cold some care? Humph, a mere act. You think they're worth inviting? That was the imperial decree. They had to come. Yong sent a mocking glance to the ants. Eldest brother, how can an irresolute man and sympathizer like you be the next leader of this nation? Second brother, by treating Tianyu's people like this, how are you going to rule with justice? How are you going to earn their respect? This is why the imperial father didn't make you Crown Prince. The Crown Prince glared. Yong's eyes were spitting fire at this point, his face barely stopping itself from exploding. Yuanbo, don't patronize me. Based on wisdom and approaches, I'm no different from you. Isn't it all because you came into this world a year before me that you've earned such a glorious title? Isn't it because you are firstborn? Other than that, I am just as capable as you are to be Crown Prince. The Crown Prince stammered, but sighed in the end. Second brother, so this is what's been bothering you. This is why you've always looked at me with hostility since we were young. But what would you have me do? This is the work of Providence. I cannot change the world. If I could, I would have long since given my brother this Crown Prince title. Humph, sophistry. Who doesn't want to be emperor? Even that regent estate has been stirring for centuries, yet you, pansy, wish to give it up. Yong snarled. But I don't need you to hand it over. I'll take what's mine for myself. The Crown Prince looked long at him and sighed, feeling vexed. Then, a very familiar voice came with it. The people began to feel the earth throbbing. A mountain of a man, panting and sweating, was rumbling over with a thundering gait. He was sweating buckets, but was mighty happy. Elder brother, second brother, it's been ages since we last saw each other. I missed you so much. He was the one, the only, Tianyu's third prince, Yuan Kang. He was a rarity in this world of cultivation filled with trained, fit bodies, one of the very few fatties. The young master hiding in the crowd and the child held their heads. Sigh, third brother, can't you sweat that fat off a little? Every time you come out, you scare everyone. I don't even want to be seen around you. Yong glanced at the tub of lard with loathing. God damn it, hasn't this pig left the imperial capital yet? What's he doing back here? Ha ha ha, he must have finished his mission and the imperial father had him return. With the 8th Noble House Awards ceremony of great importance, it's imperative for the third younger brother to be present as well. The Crown Prince came out with open arms and a smile. Ha ha ha, third brother, welcome back. Eldest brother. With a cry of joy, Yuan Song jumped into the Crown Prince's arms and landed with a bang at the same time. A snapping sound marked the wincing of the Crown Prince as the pavement beneath him cracked all over. Your Highness, Crown Prince! Crown Prince's guards rushed over, seeing him hugging the hulking slab of meat. I'm fine. Shaking his head, the Crown Prince put on a reassuring smile. I am a 9th-layer bone-tempering stage cultivator after all, but even I can't hug my younger brother. Crash! With another sound, Crown Prince's face paled and he looked at his third brother with glistening eyes. Old third, did you get heavier? Just a bit. Last month I weighed 375 kilograms, but this week I'm 400. It must be all that traveling getting to me that I gained so little. Everyone's face twitched. The third prince sure is an oddball. Where can you find so much fat in the world? Oh, right, eldest brother, are you okay? Yuan Song asked, seeing his brother's sweaty face with a pained smile. Crown Prince begged. Third brother, could you get down first? My waist is killing me. The crowd blanked out for a whole 2 seconds. Chapter 353 Vie For Power. Chapter 353 Vie For Power. Ha ha ha, my dear third, they say Huang Puqin Tian is a monster, but I think you're the biggest monster among them all. I've seen you be constantly on the move these few years, so how come you've gained more weight instead? Yong looked at the two brothers get out of the hug and mocked the one with the creaking waist. What about you, Crown Prince? always posing around has finally taken its toll. The Crown Prince grew angry but sighed in the end, emphasizing that the younger brother didn't understand his pain. Yuan-song glared. Second brother, I know you don't like me, but leave the eldest brother out of it. Save it. I don't like you because I find that blob of yours an eyesore. Moreover, Humph, it's absolutely revolting. Yuan Yong's eyes glinted with bloodthirst. Crown Prince and Yuan-song wanted to respond, but sighed instead. The young master hiding in the crowd flushed, wanting to go out there and give him an earful. Second brother is too much. Eldest brother is always modest and thinks about the good of the people. Yet my second brother is always complaining. I need to go out there and give him a piece of my mind. Young master, stop causing trouble. If anyone finds out you've sneaked out, I'll take the fall as well. The child pulled him. Just then, a cry came from the crowd. Look, Hell Valley has arrived! Everyone turned around to see a group of men in gray robes with Yuan-shan in the lead. He was flanked by his elders and a striking young man with stern eyes. He was Hell Valley's brightest mind, Yugiki's last disciple. Yongning. Behind them were 4 strong elders that struck fear in the hearts of others with a mere glance. A single thought from them could annihilate them all. These were Hell Valley's 4 venerables. There used to be a 5th, but that one fell in the Battle of Wingei's city. This made Yuan-shan's hatred for Xuefan reach bone deep. He had not only killed so many elders but even murdered one of their venerables. The only reason they weren't marching on Wingei's city to kill the Luo clan was because they knew it would be foolhardy. Who the hell cared about some Imperial family's restrictions? As weak as they were, they could only endure. Valley Lord Yu, long time no see. Please forgive me for not welcoming you here in person. The Crown Prince cupped his hands. Yuan-shan returned the greeting with a smile. Your Highness is too kind. Valley Lord Yu, how have you been the last 3 days? Second Prince Yuan-yong walked over with his head held high. Crown Prince's eyebrows twitched, and Yuan-shan frowned as he gave a mirthless laughter. Ha ha ha, thank you Second Prince for your concern. I have been well. Oh, it's almost time for the gates to open. I am going in first to prepare. Afraid of saying more than necessary, Yuan-shan came up with an excuse to extricate himself and made his way to the gates. The 9 gates had a particular importance. The 9 Dragon Guard in every major event. Tianyu's clans gathered in front of these gates, and the 9 gates opened at the same time. The Emperor walked through the middle one, while the others were reserved for the houses and princes. It displayed to the public that the 7 houses and the Imperial family were equals, with the rest of the clans following behind. This time the Emperor was about to appoint the 8th house, so of course the sealed final gate was now reserved for the Luo clan at the time of opening. The clans making their choice of which house to follow would stand before their respective gates, but since most of the 8 houses were running late, Yuan-shan saying that he was going to get ready to enter was an obvious excuse that he was avoiding them. When they arrived before a gate, Yuan-shan looked back at the Second Prince in anger. That rotten bastard! Has he lost it to be so impulsive? Wasn't he clearly pointing out to everyone that there's something going on between him and us? Ha ha ha, Valley Lord, relax. If he was shrewd, our partnership would have been in danger. It's his rash attitude that makes him an excellent pawn. With a twisted smile, Yongning said. He just wanted to show off his power before the Crown Prince. Let him be. But what about our secret plans? Won't they get exposed? Yuan-shan snorted. Yongning shook his head. Valley Lord, no need to be angry since it will all be revealed anyway. And in the current situation, the rest of the clans will take the same path as us. Once the Luo clan becomes the 8th house, they will turn into the last power and will turn the empire into a tripartite nation. At that time everyone will be tied down. To break the stalemate, vying for the throne will be the only option left. The side that controls the future emperor will be the one to use the Imperial family to destroy the other houses. The last step will be removing the puppet emperor and taking hold of the world. Is this what you mean by playing for the future? Yuan-shan squinted. Yongning nodded. Correct. Yuan-shan gasped and nodded. So even with the Second Prince being impulsive, it was this impulsive nature of his that made him grade 8 pawn material. As for the Crown Prince, no one could gauge him. Yuan-shan was finding Yongning more trustworthy now in another location. Crown Prince frowned at Yuan-yong. Second brother, Imperial father has warned us not to get too close with the houses. You, Crown Prince, you are the rightful emperor, so of course you'd listen. You only need to wait for the throne to fall in your lap. But without any power behind me, how can I fight for it? I told you, I'll take everything from you, ha ha ha. Yong cackled. Crown Prince's eyes flashed with bloodthirst. Though hidden deep behind his facade, Song came beside the Crown Prince and grumbled. Second brother, how can you say that? Openly going against the Imperial father's decree? I'm going to tell on you. But the sight of a certain mesmerizing beauty left him speechless. He forgot all about his brothers and ran towards her laughing. Sister Kay, you're here! It's been so long, did you miss me? The two brothers were dumbstruck and sighed. Our third brother truly is a rare fatty, a rare starry-eyed one. The girl has shot him down 108 times, yet he still can't face the music. Veiled Dragon Pavilion's detail approached Pavilion Lord was in front, flanked by his elders, 5 venerables following them, and lastly, the younger generation. One of them, of course, was the target of young Tubby Song's fantasies. Long Kui Song was hammering the earth with each step, barreling onward like an out-of-control mountain. After a quick hi to Long Yifi and the rest, he went to Long Kui's side, making her sick. This guy got even fatter. He's inhuman. Ha ha ha, Sister Kui, have you been well? Song fumbled his thick fingers, looking bashfully at her. Long Kui glared at him. I thought I told you last time that I like someone else. What are you sticking around me for? You mean Brother Xuefan? Ha ha ha, we talked it out. You were only using him as an excuse. We even became sworn brothers afterward. And brothers don't go after another's wife. Song licked his lips and giggled. Long Kui mocked. And what if what I said was all true? Song froze and stared her in the eyes, but couldn't find a single lie. Ignoring him, Long Kui left him there and returned to her house. After exchanging greetings with the other two princes, they walked towards a gate. Only Song was left there lonely and lost. Then his brows furrowed. The rest of the houses arrived one by one with their elders, venerables and extras. The only difference was that the 3 houses had 4 venerables, while Drifting Flowers edifices only had 3, making them the weakest. And for some reason, Edifice Lord Chu was nowhere to be seen. With Iris Overseer and Grandmother leading their house, the people had no time for assumptions. As the guest of honor showed up, they instantly drew all eyes. Even with plenty of clans seeing the Luo clan's performance in the esoteric debate, the great majority hadn't. They all wished now to catch a glimpse of the Luo clan's might, and what made it the 8th house, especially that youth hiding in the crowd. He watched excitedly. They say the Luo clan steward is a hunk. Which one is he though? Chapter 354 On the Brink. Chapter 354 On the Brink. Tap. With a steady gait, the Luo clan walked forward. The first were Luo Yunchang and Luo Yuhai, the leaders of the Luo clan. Right behind them were Captain Pang, Lei Yuding and other important people. And finally Li Jingtian and Lei Yuntian, the elders. It was clear as day that the Luo clan hardly had any elders, merely 2, and their strength was far weaker. Only Li Jingtian's power stirred the hearts of men, yet the way Lei Yuntian, a profound heaven expert in the 5th layer, stood next to Li Jingtian. It was like an ant marching side by side with an elephant. Yong only had disdain for them. Humph, weak. Does that look like an 8th house to you? Don't they barely qualify with just 1 peak radiant stage expert? Second brother, don't say that. The Luo clan had been a third-rate clan recently. But in the last 10 years they have grown so much to reach here. What do you say to that? Song returned to his brothers, and although downcast, he admired the Luo clan. Crown Prince frowned a bit. Third brother, I must say, this is some very rare and hard oddity to come by. But the way they've developed seems skewed. Do you guys think the Luo clan only has 1 radiant stage expert? When the day comes that they have to fight other houses and their only defense would go into battle, wouldn't they be left wide open for attack? Compared to other houses, the Luo clan will be the quickest to fall. This clan truly is a marvel, but far too soon to be called a house. Yong watched the approaching group and sighed. This is not our concern, but for that kid Xuefan to think about. Xuefan? The Crown Prince and the second prince raised an eyebrow. The former was quite excited. I've heard about him. Luo clan has managed to see today all because of him. He is a genius not unlike Zhuge Chanfeng and Leng Wucheng. Staring at the Luo clan, Yong spat. I've heard of him too. Ever since he showed up, he has turned Tianyu upside down and even fought against the 7 houses. In the esoteric debate, he alone fought against Huang Puqingtian's team of 4, making a name for himself. The Luo clan can now stand abreast the 7 houses all because of its 2 pillars. The sharp Steward Zhua and the mighty Li Jingtian. Who is Xuefan anyway? Yong scrutinized the Luo clan in search of his query. The Crown Prince was also on the lookout. Only Yuan Song, who had become a sworn brother with the man, said after a glance. He's not here. What, on the eve of their award ceremony, their steward still won't show? The 2 cried, shrugging. Yuan Song said. That's just how he is. With that last word, he went to Luo Yunchang and cupped his hands. The 2 were puzzled and even more curious about Xuefan. But the Crown Prince still went to greet the Luo clan. Only Yong disdained them from afar. He did not care one bit if the Luo clan was becoming the 8th house. He just knew one fact. Their odd discrepancy in ranks assured that it was only a matter of time before they crumbled, and he had no intention of making nice with the soon-to-be-dead clan. The young master in the crowd stuck his head out and scanned the Luo clan's detail. Who's Xuefan? Why does none of them look anything like the rumor? Is he perhaps that guy? The youth pointed at Yen Fu. The child next to him looked in disdain. Young master, that guy sure looks fair but nothing alike. How come? I overheard my clansmen say that Luo clan's steward is vicious and fiendish, not like that pretty boy. Not to mention that he is the highest person in the Luo clan that even that radiant stage expert listens to. While that kid only knows how to bob his head, not speaking a word to the 2 elders. How is that fiendish? If he were indeed the rumored monster, the Crown Prince wouldn't dare neglect him. The young master was stunned, then nodded. Why, you're quite good at deductions. Who knew you had a good head on your shoulders? He, young master exaggerates. The child giggled, her cheeks rosy. But if he isn't Xuefan, then who is it? The others don't look the part either. Seeing her young master so focused, the child shrugged, unsure as well. Look, Regent Estate is here. A shout caught everyone's attention. Even Crown Prince's attention, who was chatting with the Luo clan. That one look left everyone gasping and drove fear into their feeble legs. A group in golden garb strutted with Huangpu Tianyuan in the lead. Next to him was their steward, Tianyu's second greatest mind, unwanted contriver Leng Wucheng. Following were the profound heaven elders, 50 in number, releasing their mighty auras. Yet that was hardly impressive. What got everyone so shocked was the venerable contingency. A total of 30 people radiating incredible power. Any one of their gazes was enough to raise everything to the ground. Crown Prince gulped at the ostentatious display. He never imagined the Regent Estate's power would reach such a height, almost catching up to the Imperial family. Second Prince was dumbstruck. His jaw hanging, eyes popping, forgetting himself as he spoke. Dang, now that's what you call a 1,000-year-old legacy. How can that upstart Luo clan compare? Li Jingtian watched them with a cold gaze. He was very clear on the Regent Estate's power. 15 of the venerables were below the 3rd layer of radiant stage, 10 of them between 3rd and 6th, and 5 above. In this aspect the Luo clan wasn't falling short. The Luo siblings glanced over and nodded. It all came down to Steward Zhua, and the rest if they reached in time. The Crown Prince excused himself from the Luo clan and greeted the Regent Estate. Estate Lord Huangpu, I trust you have been well. It's only thanks to your blessing, Crown Prince, that I am well. Huangpu Tianyuan smiled. Just then, the second prince skipped the Luo clan and rushed over to Regent Estate with a smile. Royal uncle, it's been a while. Hiding the disdain, Huangpu Tianyuan put on a smile. Thank you, second prince, for your concern. The Regent Estate and the Imperial family were distant relatives at first, but the Imperial family had its dignity. That wouldn't change even among relatives. If anybody wished to get close and use such a way of addressing, it had to be peers, just like how the Emperor called him cousin while never lowering himself. Yet this second prince had walked up and called him royal uncle, his tone thick with flattery. Anyone with an ear could tell he wanted Regent Estate on his side, not to mention the guy had made a beeline for the Regent Estate, slighting the Luo clan and earning their malcontent. The prime example of the worst ruler. The Crown Prince glared at his brother, then sighed. Huang Putianyuan's group only had contempt for the second prince. Narrow-minded, brash, blind ambition, all talk, and unable to accomplish a single thing in his life. Glancing at Ling Wuchang, the two's minds connected and they smiled. "Hi Venerable, your old friend is here. Why don't you go greet him?" Ling Wuchang pointed at the Luo clan with a smile. Huang Pufenlei nodded and grinned, making his way to the Luo clan. The Regent Estate's top expert drew gazes as he walked. Li Jingtian knew his purpose and stepped out as well. Everyone knew the strongest of two clans were now facing off. With Li Jingtian turning his back on the Regent Estate, the latter had to settle this disgrace, or it would become a stain on their name. People watched with rapt attention as the two got closer. How were they going to settle this? Even the other houses watched. It seemed like a problem between two men who represented a conflict between two clans. Any side's loss meant shame for their clan. Regent Estate couldn't afford to lose. Regent Estate had lost the esoteric debate, but that was pertaining to the younger generation. While losing here meant their 1,000-year-long legacy would crumble, as would they. Yet the Regent Estate was still willing to do this confrontation, confident of their success. Eyeing Li Jingtian, Huang Pufenlei snickered. "Mad Dipper Li Jingtian, you had lost to me once. How about showing me your progress from these past years? Ha ha ha." Chapter 355 Princess Yongning. Chapter 355 Princess Yongning. Elite Coder. The two stopped 20 meters from each other. Huang Pufenlei started off with mockery. "Ha ha ha, Li Jingtian, when you first came to Regent Estate, it was for the Imperial Tyrant body art. For you to betray us in favor of the Luo clan, it must have been over something similar, right?" "Quite." Li Jingtian was blunt. "My entire life, I've always been obsessed with martial arts, all in pursuit of power. But you guys are too selfish, not willing to impart me the complete Imperial Tyrant body art. So why would I ever give my all to you?" "Humph, our Imperial Tyrant body art is a second-to-none profound ranked cultivation method in Tianyu. Training even a fraction of it would have benefited you for life. But fortunately, I was right to judge you untrustworthy and refused to give it to you. Or today would have been another story entirely." Huang Pufenlei snickered. "Not to mention that I heard you join the Luo clan for the same thing we didn't give you, a cultivation method, right?" Li Jingtian admitted. "Among other things." "Humph, absurd. In the whole of Tianyu, the quality of our cultivation method is second only to imperial families. Can a third-rate clan give you something like that? Ha ha ha, only a fool would believe that. Haven't you heard? Luo clan has a miraculous steward. He gave me something you can't even dream of." Li Jingtian talked back. Huang Pufenlei's voice dropped. "Zhuafan? Humph, what can a glib punk ever achieve? He is only a king among scamps. And since you hold him in such high regard, you've made me curious to watch him myself. But first, let's see what you've received from the Luo clan." Huang Pufenlei's power surged and 9 golden dragons roared as they twisted around him. He was glowing with might and devastating power. The Imperial Tyrant body art of the Regent Estate was revealed in all its glory and trained to the max. Ha ha ha, perfect timing. It's time I pay back for the resentment from all those years. Laughing, Li Jingtian became enveloped in dark energy, swallowed in the belly of a huge dragon with red eyes thirsting for battle. The two were moments away from a death match. The Crown Prince was shocked and rushed forward to stop it. But a man in golden robes stopped him before he got the chance. Huang Putianyuan smiled. "Crown Prince, they are peak radiant stage experts. For your safety, please stay away from our venerable." Crown Prince shuddered and noticed his brothers were also behind, some venerable from the Regent Estate. All he could do was sigh. It was obvious that the Regent Estate wanted no interference. Before the award ceremony even began, he wanted to show the Luo clan the might of the head of the houses. But with a full-blown battle raging over here, what about the Imperial family's reputation? At this critical and dire moment, a divine dragon would usually interfere, no? The Crown Prince shuddered all of a sudden. How come there were no divine dragons around? It goes on to show that they've planned for this all along. Is the Imperial father behind this? Crown Prince's worry eased as he looked at the two fighters. Puzzled, the Emperor was clearly intent on praising the Luo clan for their exemplary conduct. But letting Luo clan and Regent Estate fight at the gates, he was unclear if it was directed at humiliating the new house or stomping Regent Estate's cocky attitude. Even so, attacking the Regent Estate was impossible at this point. Which meant the Crown Prince was even more puzzled. Just what are you up to, Imperial Father? Only Ling Wuchang was calmly tending to his beard. He had easily surmised that the Emperor's stance with the Luo clan changed from the moment Zhuofan got the Dragon Vein Soul, hence this award ceremony was the perfect time to test the Luo clan's waters. With how Zhuofan's actions in the past years were shrouded in mystery so that not even the Emperor knew, he was feeling a little more than mere unease. Case in point, only God knew when Li Jingtian had switched sides, yet only now did he show his face, and the Emperor wasn't about to let a viable threat fester. Thus today's show was all set up courtesy of His Majesty, with Regent Estate as the main actor. Since the two's interests aligned, to fish out the Luo clan's dirty little secrets. In the heart of the Imperial capital, on the top story of the tallest restaurant, Fan Qiubai and Sima Hui sat. Their eyes never left the 9 gates and the waves of power coming from there. Old Fang, the two are as strong as us. Leaving them to fight will spin this out of control. Sima Hui frowned, fiddling with a chess piece. Fan Qiubai held a brand new flute as he shook his head, smiling. It's His Majesty's order. Let them fight. And even if it blows things out of proportion, we have young Sanzi to deal with them, ha ha ha. True, in the end it all depends on the little monster. Shaking his head, Sima Hui sighed. But won't that make us utterly useless? Look at us, the invincible divine dragons, jade flute divine sword and monochrome chess sage, now reduced to mere relics of the past, obsolete. Huang Pufeng lay aside, for even a third-rate clan's venerable to outclass us. We won't be having such an easy time going wherever we want in Tianyu now. Sima Hui's mood sank and Fan Qiubai shook his head. You're right, but even so, be it Huang Pufeng Lei or Li Jingtian, they were both powerful men of ambition back in the day. Getting caught up is normal. But if a new and upcoming expert suddenly reached our level, I'd smash my head and die. Sima Hui found wisdom in his words. They no longer chose to dwell on it, and resumed to watch the act unfold. The clans in the audience were thrilled at the prospect of a good show. But now they were downright terrified. Scurrying to and fro for cover of note were those particular clans present at the esoteric debate, who were positively dreading the aftermath. They knew better than ever what a clash between colossi entailed. Getting near was suicidal, and getting a stray hit would bury you. If they didn't flee now, they would never get the chance. That said, while the two were measuring their auras and powering up, the crowd went wild and hightailing it out of there. The young master and the crowd stumbled in the confusion, but stayed put. The ignorance in him had no clue what was coming. Then his robe was yanked by the rushing crowd, revealing a fair hand and a dazzling jade bracelet. The young master cried, trying to cover it, but it was perhaps a bit hard with the frantic mob running around Pa. The bracelet fell and started rolling on the ground. The young master panicked and chased after it. Imperial Mother's bracelet! Young master! Don't, it's too dangerous! The child saw him rush after the rolling bracelet. Towards the two experts' battle, it was impossible to reach him in time as the mob dragged him further away. Finally, the young master squeezed out between the last people and finally picked up some speed, catching the bracelet with a smile. But just then, the two experts moved. With a boom, they charged at one another, while the youth stood there frozen, in the middle. Imperial Tyrant Body Art! Soaring Demonic Dragon! As they roared, their power reached the masses before they even clashed. The youth had no time to dodge, feeling the godly pressure bearing down on him, and coughed. Blood-sharp winds slashed at him, ripping his robe and revealing a lavish garment. The scholar hat fell, draping long flowing black hair. He was a she. Yongning! The 3 princes cried. Stop! Not that it did much good. The two only heard their own roars. When an expert attacked, he had no reason to stop. Fan Qiubai and Sima Hui jumped to their feet. Princess! They rushed to the rescue even though they knew the futility of it. Not even them could save her. trapped in the maelstrom of power born of two clashing peak radiant stage experts. Li Jingtian and Huangpu Fenglei never even registered the girl there. To them, she was as important as an ant. All they saw was their enemy. Roar! Roar! With two dragon roars, the two sped up. The princes and the two divine dragons watched on with bloodshot eyes. They couldn't understand how His Majesty's beloved daughter had ended up here. The danger of this situation finally dawned on Yongning as blood trickled from her mouth. She was akin to a dinghy in the middle of a storm, with the two waves coming down on her any minute to render her void. Fear gripped her heart as she shook like a leaf. Mother. Hugging the bracelet, Yongning cried and cried, her lips trembling as she pleaded. Someone save me! But who could save her from the jaws of death brought on by the might of two clashing peak radiant stage experts? The princes were beside themselves in fear. The two divine dragons knew it was hopeless but still tried to reach her, and the child in the crowd was wailing, Princess. Yet none of those acts was of any help. The two experts finally reached her with bloodthirsty eyes. Their gaze pierced her heart as their punches drew closer. A fierce wind snapped at her face. She knew her end was nigh, at their hands. Her heart was in deep regret for slipping out of the Imperial palace and ending up here, but in her final moment, all she could think of was her mother watching her from above as she raised the bracelet and prayed. Mother, you said there's someone who will protect me. Please come save me. Whoosh. Then the gale and pressure vanished, to make way for the cold voice drifting in her ears. Lass, a rabbit has no place wandering where savage beasts are on the prowl. Chapter 356 The Might of Luo Clan. Chapter 356 The Might of Luo Clan. Elite Coder. Shivering, Yongning realized that she wasn't torn apart by the two mighty powers and was in fact caressed by a breeze. She cracked her eyes open just a hint, but what she saw made her cry out and fall down in fright. Before her was a man in every sense of the word. With broad shoulders, white hair floating in the wind, and a deep gaze looking down on all creation. But the greatest shock was how this man actually put a stop to the raging tempest. The two peak radiant stage experts unleashed. His left hand was twisted into a savage dragon claw, holding Li Jingtian's wrist unscathed by Li Jingtian's black energy trying to eat it, while his right arm made a simple block with his palm. Yet this plain axe seemed to contain endless power, as Huangpu Fenglei's 9 golden dragons couldn't budge an inch. The people cried out in shock, seeing the situation take an impossible turn. Two peak radiant experts were handled like a bunch of chickens. Huangpu Fenglei and Li Jingtian were overwhelmed watching the man. Then the once lost feeling of fear slowly crept into their soul. They were peak radiant stage experts, fearless against any adversary in Tianyu. But now they were reacquainted with this feeling of dread a century later by this man in front of them. The fact that these two peak experts couldn't match their enemy brought a deep sense of loss to them. They had roamed Tianyu all their lives and reached the peak of power. So where did this guy come from that could trump them? Not to mention he was young. Who are you? Watching the youth sent from the heavens holding the evil dragon claws at bay, Yongning's cheeks flushed. A single question plagued her mind. Did the Imperial Mother send you to protect me? Ignoring the shell-shocked princess, the youth's right hand moved and Huangpu Fenglei was forced back with a groan rumbling. The pavement crumbled, as Huangpu Fenglei skidded back, leaving deep scars. He only stopped when he was in his original spot, 10 meters away, raising his head. His face was pale. He had just used Imperial Tyrant Body Art, a profound ranked martial art, to attack, yet the opponent easily took it and even pushed him back. Just what power did this man have? Who the hell is this guy? Not sparing him another moment, he looked at Li Jingtian and pushed back the black dragon claw of his. Elderly, you're still not backing down? That woke Li Jingtian right up. What had happened was too shocking, and he withdrew his attack only now. Then he showed his respect. Steward Zhua. What, Zhuafan? As if rehearsed, the Crown Prince, Second Prince, and Huangpu Fenglei cried out. They looked at him like a zoo animal. They had all heard of Zhuafan's glorious name, but never thought he'd be so much of a freak in person. Was there anyone in the world who could take on two peak radiant stage experts' attacks? Ling Wuchang and Huangpu Tianyuan were dumbfounded. How could that monster grow so much in little under half a year? He was a completely different being from the one they saw in the esoteric debate. Then their faces turned heavy with how true power could topple anything, and the more Xuefan grew stronger, the more futile Ling Wuchang's attempts were to deal with him. To say nothing of what a treacherous knave Xuefan was to begin with. Add to that his power, and they felt as powerless as when facing Gu Santong, Fang Qiubai, and Sima Hui stopped dead in their tracks, watching dumbstruck for 2 seconds before their faces sank. Old Fang, should we bust our heads and keel over? The youth of today seem to have overtaken us. Hard days await us. Sima Hui sighed. Fang Qiubai's face twitched. One thing had to be said though. Following Xuefan's explosion of power, the Emperor would have to change his plans for the Luo clan. The two of them were sure they'd be seeing Xuefan far more often in the future. For the Imperial family, they were ready to face any danger, endure any psychological torture this youth stronger than them might subject them to, and since the inception of the great divine dragons, this would probably be the hardest thing yet. Xuefan, you came! Luo Yunchang moved with the Luo clan to his side. Watching him come down like a god filled her with joy, then she glanced at the dumbstruck Yongning and asked, "Miss, are you all right?" Yongning blinked for a long time at Xuefan before she could find her words. "Are you that Xuefan? You're 10 times more handsome than the rumor goes." Xuefan's face twitched, but Luo Yunchang got ahead of him as she said coldly, "Miss, please mind yourself. Steward Xue isn't someone you can casually address." But the way he casually dropped was unlike any human, ha ha ha. A laughter came followed by a mountain of flesh running over in excitement. "Brother, I missed you so much!" With one last step, he jumped on Xuefan, glancing over. Xuefan only kicked the meatball 2 meters away as it landed with a boom, face covered in dust. Yuan Song put on the look of a kicked puppy. "Brother, what did you do that for? I'd rather not get crushed to death, thank you." Xuefan rolled his eyes. "Humph, who are you trying to play here? You stop 2 peak radiant stage experts but can't take a bit of my extra weight?" Xuefan cocked his head and ignored him, which only worked to enrage him. Yongning looked at them for a second before saying, "Third brother, you know him?" "Third brother?" Everyone looked at her stunned. Luo Yunchang gasped. "Then you're the princess?" "Yes." Yongning held her head high and revealed a proud face, but when she glanced at Xuefan and found him not at all interested, her mood sank. "Yongning, how did you get out? What are you doing here? Do you realize how dangerous that was?" Yuan Bo rushed over and chastised his sister, then bowed to Xuefan. "Thank you, young Master Xue, for your timely rescue. I am." Xuefan had already left, leaving the Crown Prince in an awkward position. He then noticed that Xuefan was going in the Regent Estate's direction. What is he going to do, fight? Everyone grew excited and nervous. What they saw when he stopped Li Jingtian and Huangpu Fenglei was positively incredible. How would the Regent Estate, the unrivaled head of the 7 houses over the past millennium, cope? The people were eagerly awaiting the good show. This was unprecedented. Anyone messing with the houses got annihilated, but a few years ago, Xuefan began chipping at the 7 houses' power outside of the 7 houses. Tianyu now had an 8th, Luo clan. And their steward, soaring demonic dragon, was someone neither house wished to test, all while he was more than delighted to step on their toes. What was more, the Luo clan was about to be officially acknowledged, setting up Luo clan's roots for all eternity. After a long 1,000 years, the ranks of the houses would finally be redefined. Whoosh! Huangpu Fenglei flashed before Xuefan with a grave face, his eyes staring down on him. "You're Xuefan? What are you trying to do?" The rest of the Regent Estate was on high alert. Xuefan merely smiled. "Oh, nothing. On this auspicious day, the Luo clan is receiving its title, and I hoped everyone would keep to themselves, or a war might break out." "War? Humph, Luo clan only has Li Jingtian. What can you possibly do? An upstart clan like you with no legacy dares fight a house? To me, Luo clan has only 2 people. There is no war." "What a joke, ha ha ha." Huangpu Fenglei mocked. The rest had to agree the Luo clan's biggest problem was being short-handed. Xuefan and Li Jingtian were great experts and strong to boot. but take them out and the rest would be easy pickings. They weren't even useful as cannon fodder. Luo clan's weakness was clear for anyone to see. Second Prince snickered. Ever heard the saying, short-handed? You two are great but the rest are junk. Once surrounded, the rest will fall like flies. Xuefan mocked. Dumb bigot, you think I don't have a way to fight that legacy of yours? Xuefan pointed at the sky. Feast your eyes on the Luo clan's power, a power to crush any house. Pa! With a crisp sound, powerful surges came from the heavens above. Chapter 357 Fiendish Elders. Chapter 357 Fiendish Elders. Elite Coder. Whoosh. 7 figures dropped down like meteors, spreading their savage energy around Xuefan. The overflowing power got even Regent Estate to shirk back. With a startle, they realized that all they could do was endure the pressure. People went pale on the spot. Regent Estate had 30 venerables, so why couldn't they even fight back when they had the numerical advantage? However, upon closer look, they got the shock of their lives, with their hearts threatening to burst out of their chests. Of the 7 newcomers, only one was a peak profound heaven expert, who they didn't recognize. But the other 6 had fiendish reputations. Even as rogue cultivators, no one dared to touch them. Raging Ancestor Chiu Yihai, Ice Moon Witch Shui Qingjian, what are you two doing beside Luo clan? Ling Wuchang's eyes flashed with regret. It was the Regent Estate who wanted them first, and Ling Wuchang found their power impressive. An art to harmonize fire and water was rare. It would have been such a shame burying such an asset. He thought it was better to let them go and think of another way to have them join, since the two hardly posed a threat to the Regent Estate. But who'd have thought they'd side with Xuefan instead, becoming their bitter enemies? If he knew, he'd have culled them when he had the chance. But who could have seen this one coming? Not even he, unwanted contriver with his foolproof plans, had thought it possible that what Regent Estate couldn't recruit, it would be done by others. However, it was far too late for regret. Shui Qingjian easily spotted his dilemma. Sir Lung, are you regretting not killing us? Hi. A shame it's all too late now. Steward Zhui is far stronger in this regard. He truly was vile in his recruiting. I get the chills just thinking about it. Shui Qingjian played coy and put on a knowing look. This got on Ling Wuchang's nerves. A pair of masochists that don't know how to accept a favor. I realize I've been too kind to you. Yes, what you can't obtain you destroy. The more precious the item, the more this logic stands. Since there is a high chance it might come back to bite you, ha. Elder Shui is right. This is where you are beneath me. Xuefan cackled. If one day you fall at my hand, you will experience complete failure. That is why, as a fellow steward, I can lead the Luo clan to new heights, while you can only assist the Regent Estate by cooking up some elaborate schemes. Humph, this is the difference between rulers and their ministers. And this is what you lack, bringing your downfall. Grinning, Xuefan stared at Ling Wuchang and laughed. Ling Wuchang was about to explode from anger, his eyes bloodshot. For the first time, someone had dared to taunt him. Not even Zhuge Chanfeng dared talk to him like that. Xuefan, though, jabbed at his wisdom in his mockery, yet the man couldn't even retort. Who was it that caught him off guard in the esoteric debate and killed everyone? Xuefan said it was a draw at the time, but it was plain as day that Ling Wuchang lost. What could he possibly say to that? Ling Wuchang's anger grew and grew, gasping yet unable to speak. Everyone looked at him stunned. The second greatest mind in Tianyu, Ling Wuchang, was being pushed back in a verbal contest with Xuefan. Huangpu Fenglei's face sank. And seeing the Luo clan's forces, he trembled. But when he caught sight of the 4 pygmies, his eyes grew serious. The abominable 4 scheming demons. Weren't you in the Thunder Swarm Mountain, locked away by the demon scheming sect? What are you doing with the Luo clan? Hi, Foggy, are you talking to us? Violent Demon held his chin up. How could a mere mountain hold the 4 demonic heroes? Here, the mountain can hold us. That goes double to you, hi. The other 3 jumped up in glee. Squinting, Huangpu Fenglei said, Oh? And what if I tell the demon scheming sect? SSS. The 4 pygmies shivered on the spot, Filled with fear, Huangpu Fenglei smiled inside as he mocked. Humph, you must have escaped your prison, right? If I report you to the demon scheming sect, not just you, but even the Luo clan will. I'd like to see you try. Zhuo Fan cut him off with his derision. These 4 twerps are here to help the Luo clan by the order of demon scheming sect leader Xiao Yue. Go ahead, report. I won't stop you. Ugh. Huangpu Fenglei choked on his words. It was because Zhuo Fan's information was too credible. Knowing who demon scheming sect leader was, proved the 4 scheming demons were sent to help the Luo clan. Did that mean the Luo clan had one of the Empire's 3 guardian sects, demon scheming sect, on their side? What hope did they have in fighting the Luo clan then? Not a snowball's chance in hell. How could a house fight a sect? Yet, he was still unwilling to believe all of Zhuo Fan's words. Staring him in the eye for any trace of lies, the 4 scheming demons looked at him in shock. Wimp Demon couldn't hold his curiosity in check as he whispered, Steward Zhuo, is it true? Zhuo Fan nodded. It was all fiction, of course. Xiao Yue had no idea the 4 shits were with the Luo clan. But he was sure Xiao Yue wouldn't object anyway. The demon scheming sect leader was even waiting 3 years before taking him to his sect, yet wouldn't give this little bit of help. The 4 scheming demons, having got their answer, were ecstatic. They suddenly gathered around and pooled their tiny minds for a little chat. They nodded and a savage glint sparked in their eyes. The 4 turned into black smoke and charged at Regent Estate. Huangpu Fenglei jerked and shouted, Look out, these 4 are hard to deal with. Too little, too late. 4 trails of black smoke shot at Regent Estate's venerables. In a blink, a venerable in the 4th layer of radiant stage was taken to the skies in the sun's glaring rays. The black smoke squeezed in on the venerable. Despite his futile struggles, snaps were clearly heard as the venerable wailed and broke in 4. The blood sprinkled everywhere, to the horror of everyone, since when did a 4th layer radiant stage expert get dismembered so easily? Those things are abominable. Let that be a warning. Their unity tactic is hard to defend against. Don't let them get the drop on you. Huangpu Fenglei shouted, his face grave. He had roamed Tianyu back in the day and knew of the 4 demons' dreadful power. They were few, but vile and insidious like fiends, not to mention stronger than an average radiant stage expert. Qiu Yanhai and Shui Qingjian's fire and water combination art could hold back 10 radiant stage experts. The 4 demons' unity tactic could deal with another 10. And with freaks like Zhuo Fan and Li Jingtian in the mix, he reckoned they'd handle 10 as well. Each Luo clan could now deal with 40 radiant stage experts, 10 more than Regent Estate had. This was something no one in the Regent Estate saw coming. In just 10 short years, this clan had reached such an astonishing height. The Crown Prince, Second Prince and many others were dumbstruck. Who the hell said Luo clan had no legacy? That it was made of only 2 people. In a blink, all their elders were on duty and freaking radiant stage experts at that. What upstart? They were clearly a clan hiding for 1,000 years. Hi, geezer, weren't you about to report us? We're no longer scared of you. If you still have the guts, run away from us 4 demonic heroes and snitch! The black smoke in the air let out violent demons cackle. Huangpu Fenglei felt a headache. He stuck close to Huangpu Tianyuan. As the latter and Ling Wuchang looked on with worry, the 4 demons were notorious. They were madmen, doing whatever whenever, regardless of circumstances and orders. They were a bigger threat than even Zhuo Fan. The Crown Prince ran to Zhuo Fan and cupped his hands. Steward Zhuo, today is Luo clan's award ceremony. You can't shed blood. Please cease hostilities, and call back your elders. A red sky is an auspicious sky. We should make it so in reality as well. We shall turn the ceremony into a sign of prosperity. Zhuo Fan waved him off with his trademark evil grin. Elderly, who was it that struck first? We did it at the same time. But he taunted me first, Li Jingtian answered. In that case, we can't turn back as cowards. Zhuo Fan laughed. Elders, it's show time. Zhuo Fan gave the start with his left hand turning into the earth dragon claw while his right shined. Li Jingtian grinned and black energy roamed. Shui Qingjian and Qiu Yanhai held hands as fire and water fused, releasing waves upon waves of power at such a display of power, and glancing at the 4 black spots in the sky, Huangpu Fenglei felt like crying, "What is wrong with today?" They only wanted to cut some of the Luo clan's momentum, and curb the new house's development. So how did it turn the other way around with us getting curbed? Not to mention this had stopped being a mere beating. They already had a casualty. If this went on, Luo clan's fiends would kill them all. They were all hoping their allies would back them up, but Hell Valley, Pilking Hall and Merry Woods, who usually cheered them on every chance they got, now looked anywhere but here. No help was coming from them, that was for sure. The Luo clan and Regent Estates war had had them loose too much already. And now that the Luo clan had come in full force, they'd be dumber than a rock getting caught up in that maelstrom of carnage. With enough brawn, one would lose their head, so much so they didn't care about their own lives. They'd be willing to take the fall as long as they could take down the opponent with them. Against a man without restraints, the crazier he was, the more horrifying he became. With nothing in this world to chain him down, you'd have no idea what insane idea he'd come up with next, and that was Xuefan. If his revenge had yet to cool down back in the esoteric debate, he might really engage in this battle, regardless of a third party. Then they'd both lose. To the Luo clan, a new house, that was quite a good ending. While for Regent Estate, having a long history behind them, the resentment couldn't be imagined. Ling Wuchang sighed. Then what would make you step down? Regent Estate's people were stunned. The great Ling Wuchang was actually negotiating his terms of surrender? This has never happened. Not even Regent Estate's people had experienced a case like this. He'd never submit even in front of the estate lord. With a creepy grin plastered on his face, Xuefan held his head high and began. To be perfectly honest, our 2 houses are now in a standoff because of your taunt. If you want to give up, it couldn't be easier. Apologize. Apologize? Regent Estate shivered to the very core as every one of them glared back. Regent Estate had been the head of all clans for 1,000 years. All its actions were beyond reproach and righteous. Even if they weren't, who would do anything about it? Yet now, they were being asked to apologize? Wasn't that a poorly disguised surrender? How would they get the nerve to get out into the world after this? Not that Xuefan gave a hoot about how they fumed. As for your sincerity, just wing it. Humph, you take that apology and stick it where the sun doesn't shine. We'd rather choose death before dishonor. You and me, little demon, we're gonna settle this right here. An aged voice spat as he charged. Going by the readings on his power surge, one would place him in the 6th layer of Radiant Stage. Don't take him on by yourself! Ling Wuchang cried, for naught. The man got to Xuefan, his golden glow revved up, dragon roars in the background, and even the space fizzling out as he punched Xuefan. Any other guy out there would have been a smear on the ground long before he was even hit. But he was dealing with Xuefan lifting his right arm. The red glow flashed for a second and Xuefan stopped the attack just like that. That mighty fist softly landed in his palm before he could get another swing in. Shui Qingjian and Qiu Yihai attacked with their hands united life and death art. Fire and ice combined to release an unspeakable power. It shot a blinding white light, swallowing the man and catapulting him into the sky with a fairly loud bang. The sky itself shook, and the Radiant Stage expert was robbed of his last chance at wailing, pulverized. Not a sign of him was left that he ever even existed. One blow. SSS. Gasps resounded everywhere. Everyone knew of the might of this old couple, but their expectations were blown at the display of a unity tactic. Fear was etched on their faces, especially on Huangpu Fenglei. Not even he could take that. Why is the Luo clan a den of monsters? Li Jingtian grinned, taking on a cocky air as he heckled Huangpu Fenglei. High Venerable, see that? That's why we side with the Luo clan. Huangpu Fenglei was floored. Did the Luo clan have much stronger cultivation methods than the Imperial family and Regent Estate? They'd have to reevaluate their power if it were true. This also snuffed out the last hope of victory. Regent Estate had. Huangpu Fenglei paled as he nodded to Huangpu Tianyuan. Yield. Huangpu Tianyuan gasped, his fists clenched, nails digging into his palm. But in the end, he shouted, Everyone, listen up. With a trembling lip, Huangpu Tianyuan found it unbearably hard to open his mouth and spoke those humiliating words. All he could do was make a deep bow. It was plain to see his meaning, and even the rest felt a little humiliated too. But when they saw their estate lord lower his head, they couldn't say anything and bowed as well. Ling Wucheng felt his heart bleeding, but he was all out of options. This was the only way out. Giving up before the man and found a reason to go crazy was the best outcome. Ling Wucheng bowed as well, speaking for Huangpu Tianyuan. Steward Zhua, it was I who offended you. Please forgive me. Every clan looked at them stunned. The head of houses, Regent Estate, surrendered to a new house. This had never happened in ever. The Regent Estate was stuck up even before the Imperial family, but before Xuefan, they had completely yielded. The three princes were speechless. Luo clan's fame had reached an all-time high. So you can learn? Xuefan nodded, satisfied. As long as you know your faults and keep them in mind for the future. The 7 no, from today it should be 8. The head of the 8 houses is no longer the Regent Estate, but Luo clan. Xuefan finished with a laugh, a snap of his finger and a spin on his heel before leaving. The 4 scheming demons landed, along with the other elders. Everyone walked on victorious towards Luo Yunchang. The people witnessing this miracle felt hope surging in their chests. While the rest of the houses were utterly speechless and stunned to even react, the head of the 7 houses, Regent Estate, had humble pie shoved down their throats before the entire empire. And even had their head title stolen by the new house. Elder Chu, is that our ally? A lady among Drifting Flowers Edifice's disciples asked. Chu Biju and grandmother nodded happily. Venerable Bing, it is. Good, Elder Chu, we truly bet on a treasure this time. There's hope for Drifting Flowers Edifices to rise again. Grandmother smiled. Cheers exploded at Veiled Dragon Pavilion and Sword Marquis Abode houses as well. While only Pill King Hall and Merrywoods looked positively glum, Regent Estate's decline meant the fall of their backer. As for Hell Valley, they looked on with a cold eye, having already found their path. The elders were puzzled. Zhuge Changfeng merely shook his head. I have figured out that old bean's mind. 8 houses, 1,000-year-old secret order, they have all been long in play, ha ha ha. Zhuge Changfeng stepped down the tower. Come, the ceremony is about to begin. The elders followed in silence in another area. Fan Qiubai and Sima Hui saw the 2 houses cease hostilities. But even with Regent Estate losing 2 venerables, the 2 were cursing them for being useless and running scared on their way to the Imperial Palace. Xuefan had rejoined Luo Yunchang with the elders and went to the 9th gate, watching the aloof white-haired figure not once glance over. Yongning glared at him annoyed and pouted. Humph, what's with being all pretentious like? You're nothing but a steward of a no-name clan. Yongning, he isn't your normal steward. In his hands, the Luo clan has become Regent Estate's equal. You know what power the Regent Estate has, even we have to show respect. Keep in mind the next time you meet people from the Luo clan to show some courtesy. Crown Prince instructed. Yongning was having none of that. Second Prince came over and looked at Luo clan as he said, Luo clan isn't to be taken lightly. Their steward is a man to befriend. Second brother, don't forget about our Imperial family's rules. Leave me be. Second Prince didn't give a damn about the Crown Prince's warning. Princess, are you all right? A shout revealed the child coming running from among the crowd. The princess smiled while the Crown Prince sighed and face-bound. Almost forgot, Yongning, how did you get out? Snooping. Yongning and the child hanged their heads in shame. Crown Prince turned blue from anger and barked. Yongning, you not only snuck out of the Imperial Palace by yourself but even dared to snoop to do it? You're only making it worse for yourself. How's it my fault? The entire Imperial Palace is filled with tunnels with no guards around them. How else did you expect me to get out with my 5th layer of bone tempering stage cultivation? Yongning grumbled. Crown Prince was royally pissed now. He couldn't vent as Yuan Song came laughing. Ha ha ha, eldest brother, breathe. Sister likes to mess around. The 9th gate will soon open and we'll take her back. What's the point of making the matter worse than it is? Third brother, you're the best. Your head looks like a pig, but your brain is sharper than one. Yongning giggled. Yuan Song turned cold. Eldest brother, I think handing her over to Imperial father is best. Ground her for half a year and seal all the tunnels in the Imperial palace. See how she'll get out then. No. Third brother, I was wrong. Please forgive me. Don't tell the Imperial father. You're the most handsome man ever. Even more than Xuefan. That had all of them laugh and look at her with a shaking head. They were all brothers and sisters and had no reason to hate each other. After 15 minutes, with a sharp creaking sound, all the gates rumbled open to reveal the refined interior of the Imperial palace. Open! The 8 houses each had a gate, while the 3 princes and Yongning took the center one. The other clans walked behind the houses as they entered. But this time Regent Estate had far less people following them, even less than the other houses, while Luo clan, a newcomer, had the longest trail, making it hard to even pass the gate. The previous fight had done wonders for the Luo clan's prestige. They all knew Luo clan was above Regent Estate as the new head of all clans and houses. Only around 10 elders, but each was valiant and hardy like true warriors. This also meant that Luo clan cared about quality, not quantity. Following the entrance of the 8 groups into a wide hallway, the 2 sides were lined with guards. From their bearing it was easy to see that they were hardened soldiers, and one could even detect arrays all over the place. Looking ahead, one could guess them to be above 1,000 in number. Xuefan's eyes trembled and he nodded inwardly. Based on every house's legacy, the Imperial family's legacy ruled supreme. Once they passed the 8 golden bridges, they arrived an hour later before a lofty palace. There, the second of the 4 pillars, Marshal de Xuanji, was standing guard on the right side of the throne with dragon-slaying crescent blade in hand, while on the left was Prime Minister Zhuge Changfeng. The 2 looked at Luo clan, Xuefan in particular. De Xuanji took a deep breath with a calm gaze as Zhuge Changfeng tended to his beard with a faint smile. With another loud shout, an old man in yellow gown entered their sight. His Majesty has arrived! The 8th Noble House Award ceremony was about to begin. Chapter 360, Best Steward Beneath Heaven. Chapter 360, Best Steward Beneath Heaven. Elite Coder. The man in yellow gown walked slowly towards the throne as the servants on either side followed with deep bows. He looked quite thin, but his bright eyes looked at everyone present, lingering ever so slightly longer on the Luo clan. This man was the current emperor of the Tianyu Empire. May your Majesty live a long and prosperous life. The instant he took his seat, the 8 groups bowed. The emperor waved. As everyone knows, I have called you all here today to bear witness and rejoice, by the grace of Tianyu's ancestors, to the rise of a new house in our empire. Tianyu has survived the past 1,000 years in no small part due to our 7 houses' assistance, bringing stability and prosperity, safeguarding peace along the ages. In all these years, the Imperial family dared not neglect its duty, looking for talents to defend the well-being of its people. That is the purpose of the esoteric debate, to see a clan rise up and make Tianyu great. I am sad to say that this has never happened. We are fortunate that the heavens finally took pity on us and my rule, and presented us with a new house, working alongside the 7 houses and strengthening our foundation. This is a blessing to myself, to the nation, and to everyone else. Congratulations, Your Majesty. The land shall grow even stronger. Everyone bowed. Luo clan did the same, with humility. We dare not accept Your Majesty's praise. Everyone present knew this was just a high-class act, and thus was shortly ignored. Even those who had never seen this new house knew that the 7 houses never stopped fighting among each other since the empire's foundation. What working together? More like stabbing each other's backs. With the coming of the 8th house, the fights would only grow bitter. A prime example was the 2 houses duking it out at the ruler's gates. While the emperor was saying all that, the empire was in fact on the verge of collapse, hanging by a thread. He didn't believe what he himself said, and neither did those people who were bowing. It was all make-believe. Despite all of this, either side was about to unravel the white lie. These were appearances and decorum that had to be maintained, or poking holes in the paper-thin charade would lead to Tianyu going up in flames, something no one wanted. The emperor looked at them one more time and smiled. Praise heavens! The imperial palace guards came forward and prepared the incense. The emperor bowed before it, and even began reading a prayer. It was more or less being thankful to the heavens for the prosperity of Tianyu. While every paper was perused, an hour passed by and the rest rose up along with the emperor. He took his rightful place on the throne with traces of sweat on his brow, a clear indication that he was reaching the limit of his life. He knew that, yet he would still put on a cheerful face. Good. After we showed our respects to heaven and earth, we then have the Son of Heaven, which is myself. Luo clan's head, Luo Yuhai, step forward. Yes, your majesty. Luo Yuhai stepped down on one knee. Young Luo Yuhai, your father has been taken from you at an early age, yet with your bravery and resolve, you have led the clan forward alone. You have followed Marshal Dugu in battle and showed marvelous skill in the esoteric debate. You are a true model of Tianyu's heroes. I bestow upon the Luo clan the title of the 8th noble house. Wingay's city shall be your domain along with the 100 cities around it. You shall be known as Regent of Prosperity, allowed to own a prince's manor in the imperial capital. Raising his head, Luo Yuhai was bug-eyed and so were the rest, looking at the emperor in disbelief. None of them expected for Luo Yuhai to actually become a nobleman and even have a title. Among the 7 houses, only Regent Estate had the marquis title because they were related to the imperial family, but Luo clan was a run-down third-rate clan. And it had just jumped in front of everyone with the title of prince. Only Zhuge Changfeng, Zhua Fan and Ling Wucheng understood. The emperor wanted to place the Regent Estate and Luo clan on opposite fronts since the world couldn't hold both of them, so 2 of the 8 houses could only have one boss. 2 kings was 1 king too many. The emperor's title came with vile intentions. Not that Zhua Fan gave a hoot, since his sole plan for Regent Estate was to drag it out. And Regent Estate wasn't about to sway under the emperor's taunt. So when the tripartite division took shape, all those titles became empty words. On the contrary, the 100 cities offered made Zhua Fan pleased as a punch. What was of greatest importance in the cultivation world? Resources. 100 cities included the mountain range close by and the tens of spirit mines and endless herbs it offered. And all of that was the house's private property. Adding to that a part of the empire as well, Luo clan would soar with so many resources. It would no longer need its allies' support. It had finally gained independence. This was why many clans wanted to curry favor with the houses. Without resources, they'd wither and die, and these resources were either the empire's or the house's. Monopoly on the resources controlled Tianyu's clan's development. With Luo clan having 100 cities to its name, if the clans wanted to join it, they'd have to move to the border. Zhua Fan finally showed a twisted smile. 2 servants came before Luo Yuhai, offering him a golden cape, embroidered with a majestic dragon. It only missed the 4 claws, or it'd be just like the prince's. This was a symbol that showed the house was equal to the imperial family, not to mention Luo Yuhai was a regent. Thank you, your majesty. Luo Yuhai bowed. The emperor nodded and turned to his sister. Young Miss Luo, come forward. Luo Yunchang was stunned. A male would take on the mantle of clan head along with titles, so where was he going by calling her? Luo Yunchang still kneeled. May your majesty live a long and prosperous life. Luo Yunchang, dignified and virtuous, strong and loyal. After the misfortune that befell your clan, you held strong against all adversity, raising your little brother and guiding the clan. You are a model of virtue to all of Tianyu. I take you as my goddaughter, naming you Princess Yongning, and expect you to become a good sister with my daughter Yongning in safeguarding Tianyu. Luo Yunchang turned to Yongning hiding behind the princes, who stared blankly back at her. Neither expected that from the emperor. They were to be sisters. Your majesty, I would never. This is an imperial decree. The emperor cut her off with a stern face. Luo Yunchang sighed. Then I shall accept. The emperor beamed and Luo Yunchang withdrew. Luo clan steward, Zhua Fan, stepped forth. When everyone thought the award ceremony was over, the emperor called one more time. Zhua Fan was puzzled. He was just a steward, not the Luo clan head. Why is he giving me something? But since the emperor decreed, he could only oblige and gave a half bow. Mayor. You dare not bow before his majesty? A sharp cry pierced the ears of everyone. Zhua Fan looked on with a frown, at the servant next to the emperor, and his face grew cold. "You're the one with the nerve calling it to attention when the Emperor said nothing, trying to kiss someone's ass. Do you think of yourself better than the Emperor?" No, His Majesty." The servant panicked. They had always been next to the Emperor and basked in second-hand glory. Getting used to pushing others around, they were proxies dishing out the Emperor's orders. But as long as the Emperor didn't say anything, anything went. Perhaps they were even doing what His Majesty intended, while other scared people never dared to refute in fear of the Emperor's anger. But Xuefan was a tough nut to crack. Would the grand demonic Emperor from the sacred domain kneel before a no-name Emperor from the mortal domain? The servant was way out of his league messing with him, especially when he knew the Emperor needed him and wouldn't sweat this particular detail. The Emperor waved and smiled at Xuefan. "Ben Xuefan, why do you not kneel?" "My knees are wounded." "With your Majesty's brilliant and wise character, I'm sure you won't pressure the future house's steward." Xuefan's words were a work of art. Throwing the Emperor's words right back at him, in layman's terms, "You just called us irreplaceable, in order to strengthen the nation's foundation. So why the hell would you nitpick? Only a poor ruler would do that. Won't that shame you? Won't you lose Tianyu's respect?" Those words even contained a hint of threat. Luo Yunchang lowered her head, filled with worry and anger at Xuefan's crass act. "Before the mighty Emperor, you kneel when spoken to. What the hell are you doing looking for an early death? Offending the Imperial family will give us a death sentence." She was unaware that this was a fine balance not even the Emperor wished to break. Since he didn't want to let Regent Estate come out on top. Hence Xuefan's leverage was very much real. Giving him a long look, the Emperor smiled. "You truly are a worthy steward for the Luo clan, Xuefan. Your reputation precedes you. Then, Xuefan will receive your title." The Emperor coughed and shouted. "Steward Xuefan of the Luo clan, you are a man of bravery and wisdom, holding your clan together through hard times, loyal and caring, a pillar of the empire. I bestow upon you the title Best Steward under Heavens, wielding the power of the three armies and the bearer of my authority." SSS. The people gasped in shock. Even Xuefan. If only they'd known, they'd have it snuffed in its cradle. Regent Estate took this news quite well, too well, in fact. That was because they knew something everyone else didn't. Xuefan's title was totally void of authority. The Emperor didn't stop at Xuefan's cape, showering the other high-value members of the Luo clan with a title each, albeit far lesser than the first three. It was all so that the people would recognize who the Luo clan was, to open their beady eyes in the face of greatness and not step on their toes. Even still, there was one teeny-tiny matter that had everyone's dumbstruck faces on full display. While Pil King Hall and Drifting Flowers edifices were slack-jawed, Luo clan's second elder, Pil House Elder, was vicious Pil King Yen Song. Even the Emperor was taken aback. Didn't Xuefan waste him? What's he doing as Luo clan's elder? The Emperor gave Xuefan a deep look. "Steward Xue, you've fooled the entire world for 8 years with your devious schemes. Just how many secrets are you hiding? Ha ha ha, please don't kid your Majesty. With your Majesty's astute mind, how could I possibly hide anything?" Xuefan bowed. The Emperor shook his head. He wouldn't be the Emperor if he believed every outright lie. "This kid's tricks are so twisted even I am getting a headache." With inconceivable matters cropping up one after another, fear crept within the Emperor's heart. Without even realizing it, this pawn he nurtured for so long had outgrown his control. "I hope this game will still play out." The Emperor sighed inwardly. After 4 to 6 hours of dishing awards and titles, the ceremony came to a close. The Emperor had the clans leave the Imperial Palace, but not without a bow from them and a deep respect towards the Luo clan. This new house was budding, yet it was very much capable. It had both experts and alchemists. At the top of their fields, even their steward had surpassed the wisest steward of all, unwanted contriver, and became known as the best steward beneath heavens. A team such as this, excelling in power and management, was bound to hit it big. There were quite a number of clans entertaining the thought of bending a knee for the Luo clan after the ceremony that went double after seeing their ranks. Of the Luo clan's elders, Lei Yutian was the weakest, yet a grand elder. Second Elder Yen Song was even in front of those radiant stage experts. These two were a complete discrepancy for the powerhouses around them. That lineup was like a flare to the people. This told everyone that the Luo clan was an honorable clan. First come, first served. Then again, one would always pick a true helper in favor of opposer. This had the clans competing to get into the Luo clan's graces rather than see it played out first. Luo clan had it made, no doubt about it. Luo clan was also the only one who made such strong elders work, all made possible by the grace and power of their steward, Xuanji. Was there anyone among the elders who dared show discontent for their positions? To another clan, such a huge discrepancy in power would have ended up in infightings. Didn't might always make right? Yet in the Luo clan, that right was worth shit. Any and all that dared preach such an outdated philosophy were served a huge piece of humble pie on a silver platter. Xuanji, walk with me! Xuanji was leaving with the Luo clan when an aged voice called him. He turned to meet the Emperor's steel gaze with a deep breath and a nod. As if expecting it, he went with the old man. The two arrived at a pavilion in the Imperial gardens. The Emperor took a seat on a stone chair and invited him to do the same. This is where I and Mr. Sima play chess. Here, we're simple people, without rank. Please make yourself at home. With a raised eyebrow, Xuanji plopped his butt on the chair, then took a casual bite out of a fruit he picked from the platter. He really was at home. The servant at the side almost blew a gasket. That was His Majesty's courtesy. Not for you to take it literally. Not even Mr. Sima, being friends with His Majesty for ages, would be so crass. Not that the Emperor cared, smiling as a grandpa did for his doted grandson. Xuanji, I've heard so much about you, but this is our first meeting. The Emperor smiled. Xuanji just nodded. The Emperor laughed. I first heard of you from my third son. He said that Luo clan has a clever steward helping them and that I needn't worry. Thus I supported this new clan. As for your ability, I never gave it a second thought. How strong can a third-rate broken-up clan's clever steward become? I mean, the scope was just so limited, it was impossible for it to grow. Wouldn't you agree? The Emperor chatted as he looked at Xuanji with a smile. Xuanji gave a curt nod again. Sure enough, before meeting face to face, all information was about the clan itself. How one's view changed depended on one's position. Since no clan had ever come out of a border town like Wingei's city, what scope, what ambition could this one have? Even he would jump to the same conclusion given the chance. He'd have the same disinterest in Luo clan and himself upon hearing of them. It was this lack of vigilance that made people like him be the ones in control. Or if Hell Valley or any other house focused on his clan, death was certain. Unable to grow into what it was today, there was no one to blame here. Hell Valley was not some fool to let the Luo clan slip through its fingers. It was Xuanji's uncanny mind to come up with some of the most insane and mystifying plans. Chapter 362 Paving the Way. Chapter 362 Paving the Way. Elite Coder. However, killing Yugiki in Blue Expanse City gave me quite a shock. With a deep breath, the Emperor looked to the heavens, a faint smile traced across his face. The only thing on my mind in those days was how could the third mind of Tianyu, Hell Valley's schemer, die at the hands of a nobody. It was then that I began to take notice of you. I reckon I was among the minority who held you in such high regard. Xuanji secretly sighed. He planned to keep his head low back then, to build up his strength and avoid unwelcome scrutiny. But then Ninger showed up and the circumstances forced him to go all out. Then Hell Valley followed up with their kill order, harassing him on every step. Come to think of it, he wasn't all that level-headed as he believed, but a mindless savage charging through. But I liked the charge, so staunch, so invigorating. In reply to his thoughts, the Emperor patted his shoulder. You don't have to feel sorry, I understand. A patient man like you would never face such strong enemies so early. But as gold can't dull its radiance, or how a diamond can't hide among the sand, you too will meet with these events, whether you like it or not. Only your radiance is perhaps a bit too gaudy. Even I was almost blinded, ha ha ha. The Emperor continued. After my poor heart calmed down at last, months later, you pulled another one. You wrecked Drifting Flower City and killed 3 house elders. That scared me. I wanted to build the Luo clan up to strike a balance, but you, the chick I had been raising, almost bit a wolf to death. You were close to ruining everything. I was wondering if renouncing your clan would be the better part of valor. Many apologies, Your Majesty. I was too reckless and almost wasted Your Majesty's hard work. I am ashamed of myself. Xuefan bowed slightly and cupped his hands, yet his mind was thinking the opposite. His words feel sincere, but lack any truth. He goes on and on about balance and stuff, but from today's attitude, he wants anything but. All he wants is chaos. Actions speak louder than any sweet words. Xuefan had drilled this lesson into Lei Yuding for years, being a devoted follower of this saying himself. Hence, in reply to the Emperor's convoluted speech, his mind was that of a mirror, not so easily pulled under. The Emperor's eyes shined with wisdom. Then he laughed. Ha ha ha, it's fine. It's all in the past anyway. It was only then that I realized my son was right. You truly are a man of many talents. How else could you have incited so much chaos? And so, I came to a bold and radical decision. Do you know why I sent Marshal Duguid to Wingay's city for rescue? I am moved to tears by Your Majesty's extreme favor for my Luo clan. Xuefan's bow was on point, shaking his head. The Emperor gave a vague smile. No, it wasn't for the Luo clan, but for you. I am shocked and dare not accept such praise. Ha ha ha, is there anything you won't dare to do? I wholly appreciate your strength. The next set of events only proved that my decision to send 1,000,000 soldiers in defense of one man was the right approach. You haven't let me down. He held Xuefan's shoulder, showering him in praise. Xuefan lowered his head. The Emperor squinted, watching, scrutinizing, and only now he came back to the main topic. Xuefan, I have called you here to come to an understanding between us. Command me, Your Majesty. Xuefan's bow came again. What do you think of becoming the Prime Minister? Shuddering, Xuefan was stunned inside, but he put on a quizzical face. Your Majesty, the Empire already has Prime Minister Zhuge. Why? Ha ha ha, of the Empire's 3 great minds, Yugiki only knew how to manipulate and scheme, a disgrace. Ling Wuchang has the talent, but a petty character that lacks any drive. Prime Minister Zhuge is the best candidate, holding his office for decades, his conduct exemplary. Only he is just like me, old. Once I'm gone, am I to just leave an old man behind as support, to drag his feet and the nation? It is not something I want to see, and I'm sure my successor would be in agreement as well. Quirking an eyebrow, Xuefan got the gist. The Emperor wanted to pave the way for his son, the new Emperor. As with any new Emperor who took over the throne, their position will be shaky. With a wily old fox like Zhuge Changfeng around, with a cunning mind and wielder of power, the Emperor's 3 sons would fall like flies. It would be an age of a weak ruler with strong followers. How could the Yuan clan ever hold on to Tianyu? Ha ha ha, it'll change hands, of course. This was where Xuefan came in. He had no basis in the court, so even if a new emperor cropped up, the case would be that of a strong ruler and a weak follower, him ending up as the new emperor's pawn. On the other hand, Xuefan was more than capable of filling the job of handling national affairs. Getting a third-rate clan to become a house in a mere decade tended to give one just enough credibility, so when the emperor came up with this proposition, he took everything into account. Staring straight at him, the emperor spoke. Xuefan, I've seen the path you've taken to reach here. You are no weaker than Zhuge Changfeng, perhaps even better. At your age, he was but an ignorant bookworm. I believe you will surpass him in the future, and become an even better leader of the 4 pillars. You becoming a prime minister will benefit the whole nation. I have made you the best steward beneath heavens, also you could guide Tianyu's future for me. The emperor's eyes were honest. Xuefan's eyes shook. He couldn't see through him, but one thing he did know. The emperor definitely had something else stored in his mind, and it was time to lay it out in the open. But Your Majesty, as you know, I have a dragon's soul. Being in court, won't I and the Imperial family collide? Xuefan was quite tactful, yet it held the same meaning as Huang Puqin Tian back then. Providence made me king, yet you're not scared I'd take it all away. Ha ha ha. The emperor was calm. Dragon-veined soul is a creature of the world. My family had it quelled for generations to safeguard Tianyu's prosperous future. By itself, it means nothing. Why else would we place Regent Estate as a guardian of caged dragons city yet be fearless of them taking the dragon souls for themselves and stealing our rule? Remind me again, who was it that killed Huang Puqingtian, the one calling himself heaven's gift upon this world, he who had a dragon soul as well? Ha ha ha, destiny has always been in our own two hands. If posterity works hard and loves their nation, Tianyu will thrive, its people will be happy. But if an unruly successor is brash and decadent, how can Tianyu survive? Destiny, heaven, all are empty words. If I advocate such superstition, I wouldn't have needed to work myself to the bone over its future, now would I? Chuafan nodded. This emperor's words make damn perfect sense. Even he believed it. As what was cooking in the old head of this emperor, not even he knew in the end. Chuafan cupped his hands. Your Majesty, give me some time to consider. Sure, take all the time you need. Though I do hope you will serve your country and live up to the title I bestowed upon you. The emperor gave a genial smile. Even Xuanji was slightly touched. If everything the emperor said today were lies, then he was no emperor but an evil spawn. Xuanji took his leave with a bow. The emperor watched him go with a peculiar smile. Whoosh! Two old men appeared on his sides, Fang Qiubai and Sima Hui. After a customary bow, Sima Hui began. Your Majesty, the princess has returned safely. Yongning only knows how to make me worry. If not for Xuanji, God knows what would have happened to her. Sighing, he brightened. He sure was fond of this willful daughter of his. Fang Qiubai sighed. I had never dreamt Xuanji would reach such power in just a few days. I fear he has already surpassed us. What a little monster! Humph, why stop there? He is clearly like the peak radiant stage Zhuge Changfeng, versed in pen and the sword. The emperor squinted, then was taken by a coughing fit. Cough, bring me a quill and paper. Yes. The servant complied. At once the emperor wrote just a few big words on the paper, his sons' names. His eyes grew heavy looking at them, but they steeled in the end. Tell me everything that's happened, including the three's reactions. Yes. Fang Qiubai presented the whole affair at the 9 gates with intricate detail. The emperor grumbled to himself, then picked up a red quill and hovered over the crown prince's name. One must be collected, to have a way with words, to adhere to the ancestors' teachings. These are the qualities of a ruler, he said as he circled the name 3 times, yet sighed in the end. But why do I feel you're being so stubborn? You will tire the people, sigh. The emperor then crossed him out once, and went to his second son's name to circle it twice. You are bold and benevolent, firm and ambitious, yet rude, rash and greedy. One day you will end up being used. Humph. The emperor crossed him 3 times, his beard trembling in anger. He is not fit for power. Finally coming on to the 3rd name, he hesitated, yet only drew a question mark. Your Majesty, what? Fang Qiubai was stunned. The emperor spoke. I know you side with him, but my 3 sons need to be observed for longer. Especially the 3rd. I fail to comprehend him. Lest the road I've paved with so much sweat and blood will lead to the nation's collapse in the hands of a decadent successor, and I will never know rest. Sighing, the emperor grew sad. He hoped, no, wished there was one among his sons just half as shrewd as Xuanji. He would then pass on his title in peace. Chapter 363 Big Cheese. Chapter 363 Big Cheese. Elite Coder. Captain Pang, I am from the Jia clan of Westfall City. I've heard so much about the great Luo clan and wish to give my respects to the young regent. Please pass this message along. A youth in lavish clothes stood before a lofty gate as he made a deep bow to Pang Yi. He had just finished when a kick smacked his ass way out of bounds. A wretched man spat in contempt. Humph, another 3rd-rate clan comes out of the woodworks to latch on to the Luo clan. Not on my watch! The man switched to an amiable face on the spot as he presented a vial to Pang Yi. He, I hail from the Bai clan of Cold Edge City. I only wish to have the fortune of serving the Luo clan. Please send my kind regards. This is a 5th-grade pill, heaven pill. It will assist you in entering the profound heaven stage. I'm sure you must find my meager goodwill laughable. Pa! Not before getting cut off with a resounding slap to the face, which sent him spinning 3 meters into the air with a swelling face. In his place was an upright and icy old man. Humph, by clan! Just some thieves under Hell Valley now wanting to get into the Regent of Prosperity's good graces. That's the same as letting a spy in. My humble self comes from Seashore City's Wang clan. I will never allow such a disgrace to foul my eyes. The old man walked forth aloof and self-important, flicking his sleeve, and bearing only respect. I pledge my life to safeguard the Luo clan. I will make sure no bastard sets foot in. The old guy's act was cut short with a groan. He looked behind him to see a rough palm slam his chest. Captain Peng eyed him coldly, his smile wicked. Did I let you in? He put more force into his hand and threw the old guy a dozen meters. The old man crawled to his feet and started cursing. How can you resort to violence so easily? Attacking when you feel like it. I even helped you get rid of a spy. You mean that guy? Captain Peng mocked. What spy is he when we haven't even taken him in yet? The old guy was about to yap on, but the flood of people came from behind in waves. The crafty ones even kicked him for good measure, to lessen the competition. Damn geezer, don't take the high road with me for your own social climbing. Your Wang clan must really want to get in the Luo clan's graces to have come so early. Yeah, so stop blocking the way. We, the Fang clan, pledge ourselves as Luo clan's errand boys. We call dibs. Oh, Captain Peng, here is my clan's legacy, a 4th-grade spiritual weapon. Please pass this message to the regent. Pei, you call that a gift? The Luo clan, head of the 8 noble houses, uses them for toothpicks. Captain Peng, I present to you a genuine and uncontested 6th-grade heavenly treasure. I hope you could put in a few words for us to the young regent. In front of the huge building, people were coming from all around in droves, turning the entrance into a flea market. The plaque above the gate had Regent of Prosperity's compound written on it in bright gold. It was the place that the emperor bestowed upon Luo Yihai in the imperial capital. By the way, it was also his current address, with the Luo clan receiving the greatest honor in the ceremony. Not that the power it displayed while sitting on the head of the 7 houses had anything to do with it. They were, by right, uplifted to the rank of the head of the 8 houses. Hence, your run-of-the-mill Aravista clans rushed in like moths to the flame for a chance to serve under the new young regent, wanting their fame and power to rub off on them too, to bask in second-hand authority, to ride their coattails and to push other people around for a change. But with how a literal flood was at their gates and Zhuafan had yet to return, Luo Yichang dropped the headache on Captain Peng to stem the waterworks. Yet these guys didn't know when to quit, sticking around despite any harsh rebuttal, as if the only way forward was to be on the Luo clan's side. Captain Peng was laughing it up inside. He'd be touched if it happened when the Luo clan was in dire straits. But now, humph, they're nothing more than selfish pricks. This is... A bewildered voice announced Zhuafan's coming, guided here by an imperial servant. But the horde of people had him blank out for a second there. At least I know how to choose my words. I only said that about the Emperor, knowing fully well that you won't snitch. Like I said once, you've helped me over the last decade and the Luo clan will become your strongest backer. The 10 years have yet to pass, but Luo clan has already become the only house capable of standing against the regent estate. If Luo clan falls, what about all of you? We are now roped together in this. There's no way for you to sell me out, so I trust you the most, am I right? Zhuafan laughed, slowly devolving into a cackle. All while the oldies bobbed their heads. They felt quite awkward before this new house now that Luo clan was far above them, with a whole future ahead of it. They felt insecure, thinking they'd be thrown away like dead weights. This guy has done in 10 years what we couldn't in 1,000. Is there anything he can't do? All the more reason that these veterans, instead of having the same guts they showed before Regent Estate, made double sure to weigh every word and gesture before letting it out. That went double for Zhuafan. It dawned on them that Zhuafan's ever self-important reaction, his kingly air, was on a whole another level than even Huang Putianyuan or Leng Wuchang. Reading them like a book, Zhuafan smiled. No need to be so tense. We're all old friends, having gone through thick and thin. Luo clan will never forget that. Unlike Regent Estate, you can feel safe with us. We won't turn on you once we reach the top. Oh, how come I don't see edifice, Lord Chu? To ease the tense mood, Xuefan switched topics, yet this question had grandmother, and the rest sputtering, trying to find the right answer. The only ones to receive such respect were either the Emperor or the Four Pillars. The 7 house lords were clearly exempt, yet here he was giving Xuefan the greatest respect the Imperial family could offer. Everyone looking at them felt touched by the gesture, all but Xuefan, who wasn't buying any of that fake modesty, watched on with a cold eye and a curt nod. Oh, I know. Next time be quicker about it. Blood almost spurted in waves as the people keeled over and laughed. It got a crack out of the bowing crown prince too. His face twitched and became red as a fireball. Yuan Song had the least control and cursed. Brother, how can you step all over him? Elder brother offers you his sincere congratulations, and this is how you thank him? To be quicker about it? As if we're truly in the wrong here. He said he came late and asked for forgiveness. What, didn't I forgive him, and now I can't even chew him out for it? What more do you want? Xuefan rolled his eyes. Blood was bound to flow if he kept this up. The fatty was so pissed that his lard and everything quaked. You're nitpicking. Can't we ever get a simple polite greeting out of you? Don't think that I won't. Won't what, beat me up? Bring it! Xuefan snickered, flipping the fatty off and taunt. The fatty had smoke coming out of his ears. Oh, he wanted to put the prick in his place, but he was smart enough to know when he was outmatched, outclassed, though not outweighed. And so, while he looked positively charging, he had one greasy hand, by chance or not, holding Crown Prince's hand in such a way as if the other guy was pulling him, and then shouted, Elder brother, don't stop me. I will put this punk in his place for what he did to you. The Crown Prince's mouth twitched. I see why the old third has become sworn brothers with Xuefan. Look at them. One has a flair for the dramatic, cocky and obnoxious, sticking his nose higher than the heavens even in front of me, the Crown Prince. The other is no better either. He's got no power yet still wants to play pretend, pulling me into his act while he's at it. These two are like 2 peas in a pod. A bromance, made in heaven. Contrary to his thoughts, he knew Xuefan had the power to match the attitude. His only choice was to make friends with the guy. Thus he laughed. Ha ha ha, Steward Xue is so fresh and reasonable. I truly admire you. Old Third, that was my sincere apology, and what Steward Xue said was right. You can't interfere. Humph, consider yourself lucky that the elder brother has let you off. Next time, humph. The fatty flicked his sleeve, speaking that line like second nature, all while being close to having a panic attack inside. Oh, mommy, I'm free at last. If I had fought with that freak, my modest 400 kilograms fat would have been tenderized. Xuefan merely scoffed. They all returned to the lounge and sat. The Crown Prince clapped for his men to present his gift. Dozens of 8th grade ingredients, and some 6-7th grade materials. These materials far outstripped even the diamond sand Xuefan once called a genuine treasure. Among them, sea phantom wings stood out, the wings of a 7th-level spiritual beast, abyss phantom butterfly. The abyss phantom butterfly was exceedingly rare, haunting the black depths of the largest seas. It was ethereal, expert in using illusions, and swift in water. Not even a peak radiant stage expert could escape this creature's illusions, offering instead his soul for it to feast on, and these wings retained that special trait. These were far better than his former lightning wings, both in strength and attack. The higher in stage a cultivator progressed, the more he trained his soul, hence soul attacks were more sought after. The sea phantom wings were a nightmare for any radiant stage expert, or even higher. Eyes fixed on the Crown Prince's gift, Xuefan sighed. The Imperial family must have a sizable treasury amassed over 1,000 years for a mere Crown Prince to present such an invaluable gift. The Crown Prince noticed his look and nodded with a smile. Steward Xue, I know you had lightning wings, but had come to lose them in the esoteric debate. Please kindly accept this gift I've prepared for you. Every reward is deserved. What does the Crown Prince wish for me to do in exchange? Xuefan smiled. He was never a believer of free lunches. Shaking his head, Crown Prince showed a vague smile. Steward Zhua is a national hero, and the Luo clan is a national asset. I only wish for the two of us to work together for the safety of our empire. That is my humble request. Humph, more like having us as your lackeys. Cut the slick act. Xuefan scoffed inside the fatty urge, having long since exhausted what little patience he had. Just accept the elder brother's goodwill. What's there to consider? Won't it help you strive harder for Qianyu? This is a natural responsibility of the Luo clan, now a crucial part of our nation. Glancing at him, Xuefan snickered, but nodded. He pegged the fatty as being on the Crown Prince's side for coming here together, but hearing him now changed his opinion. The Crown Prince wanted Luo clan to work with him, for him. As for national safety and such gimmick, that came second. But the fatty's dumb act, played out in ignorance, changed its content, making Luo clan working for Qianyu and thus accepting the gift fully deserving the way it went. What looked like fatty helping Crown Prince was in fact helping Luo clan escape Crown Prince's clutches. Striving for Qianyu and siding with the Crown Prince weren't semantics, thus the Crown Prince's gift became a waste. The fatty was hiding himself. He is quite the shrewd guy. I wonder if the Crown Prince can read between the lines. Oh, he would be royally pissed if he could. Chapter 365 Parish. Chapter 365 Parish. Elite Coder. After a bit more chatting, the Crown Prince stood up and bowed before leaving. Xuefan actually enjoyed sending him off for a change. Beaming from ear to ear, he was brimming with smugness, thinking that Crown Prince had yet to find out that the fatty sold him out. Be that as it may, Xuefan thought that taking such a grand gift for nothing was a tad bit awkward, not like it was his fault. It was that tub of lard to blame for ruining his elder brother's masterful scheme. While Xuefan was off the hook. As for serving Qianyu, it was not a problem. Who's to say whom the future Qianyu belongs to? Snickering inside, Xuefan watched the princes leave, then came back inside more refreshed than ever. As for those two brothers, they didn't get more than a stick's toss away when Crown Prince cupped his hands. Third brother, thank you for coming with me. Otherwise, it would have been impossible to make friends with the prideful Steward Zhua even if I came as the Crown Prince. Don't be like that, elder brother. We are close, you and I. Of course I'll help you out. The fatty slapped his flabby chest, shouting his bromance, yet in the next second, his beady eyes turned shifty. Elder brother, weren't you always against us getting close to the houses? Then why? Crown Prince sighed. You must think that I am going against the Imperial Father's decree by doing this, correct? Only, sigh, the Imperial Father has been going down on his years and his handling of court falls shorter from one year to the next. With the Luo clan and Regent estate being like fire and water, it will be dangerously easy for Qianyu to fall into chaos and wreck the Imperial Father's poor heart from anxiety. As his son, I must set things right. That is why I wanted to get close to the rising Luo clan so that I may mediate in the most dire moments and bring balance to Qianyu. Oh, elder brother is so considerate towards the people and father. I am in awe. Yuan Song cupped his hands, putting on a face of adoration. Elder brother, just say the word and I will fulfill any request you may have to my full capabilities. This is the only thing I can do to share the load you and father carry. Nodding, the Crown Prince patted his shoulder. Third brother, I thank you for your good intentions. If only our second brother had a fraction of your kindness, I believe we brothers could do it. If we work as one, nothing is impossible. A shame. Elder brother, lighten up. Second brother will one day understand your toil. The fatty gripped Crown Prince's hand, watching him with a heavy gaze. Crown Prince had a thin smile. I can only hope. Third brother, I still have documents to handle for father in the Imperial Palace. I'll be going. Crown Prince glanced at the sky and cupped his hands. The fatty replied in kind. Thank you for your hard work, elder brother. Goodbye. Then he took his men and went in another direction, watching the ball of flesh wiggle away in the sun's glorious rays. The Crown Prince had a smile on his face. But once the pile of meat took a turn, his face sank, his eyes exploding with revulsion and hatred unlike any before. "That damn lard-ass talks too much!" He took out a spotless hanky and wiped his hand the fatty had grabbed, then threw it away. Then he left with his own detail, towards the gloom of a dark alley where 3 people waited. "Greetings, Prime Minister Zhuge." Crown Prince bowed. They were Prime Minister Zhuge Changfeng and his 2 elders. Zhuge Changfeng smiled. "Your Highness, by your confident gaze, I believe the plan was a success." "Of sorts, however, Xuefan is a highfalutin, leaving me with anger but nowhere to vent." Crown Prince grimaced. Zhuge Changfeng laughed. "Your Highness, please bear it. Xuefan is a prideful youngster who has yet to experience true failure. Even Leng Wuchang suffered at his hands. His pride is warranted. This is just how people with talent are. But will this cocky man one day take your position and become Prime Minister?" Crown Prince frowned in disbelief. Zhuge Changfeng nodded. "You've heard it yourself, how the Emperor bestowed him the best steward beneath heaven's title. And what does that mean? Becoming Prime Minister. His Majesty is paving the way, a capable official for the new Emperor. Xuefan may be unorthodox and crass in his methods, unlike me, but we are the same in one aspect. We are more than qualified to be the Prime Minister." "I understand, Prime Minister Zhuge." Crown Prince nodded, but a dark cloud still loomed over his face. "But I just can't stand Xuefan's attitude. Just thinking how I'll tangle with him day after day once I'm crowned is infuriating." Zhuge Changfeng had a look of ridicule for him. "Your Highness need not worry about this for now. Perhaps you won't even get the chance." Crown Prince shook like a quiver as he cried. "What are you implying?" "Nothing. Just a guess about His Majesty's thoughts, ha ha ha." Zhuge Changfeng's eyes flashed. "Every ruler plays favorites, leaving to his successor the people he wants. This goes double for the officials. Some will be demoted, others promoted, all to win the people's hearts. Yet this time, His Majesty has decided to forego this and settle on the next Prime Minister candidate. Now why do you think he did that?" Crown Prince shook his head bewildered. Zhuge Changfeng resumed with a hidden gaze of contempt. "If the officials are chosen before the ruler, this can only mean one thing. His Majesty is yet to decide who among you 3 is to be the successor. Put another way, anyone would do with Xuefan at his side. Your Highness, don't put too much stock in your Crown Prince status, when it gives no advantage whatsoever in the power struggle." "Ha ha ha. How can this be?" Crown Prince shuddered 2 steps back. "Now do you see why I suggested getting close to Xuefan? The official decides the Emperor. Since any one of you 3 will do, it will all come down to who fits this stuck-up future Grand Chancellor best. This shall decide who among you is destined to be Emperor." Zhuge Changfeng sneered at the stumped Crown Prince. "In case your Highness and Xuefan can't exactly rub shoulders, you might as well give up on the throne. Being a regent isn't all that bad either." "No!" Crown Prince shouted his defiance. "Prime Minister Zhuge, thank you for telling me. Now I know what I must do." He took his men and left in a haze. The sweat had seeped into his back and the golden tunic stuck to him. Zhuge Changfeng was mighty pleased watching the staggering figure leave. The black-haired elder spoke. "Sir, are you really helping him take the throne?" "Helping? Humph, I'm not so bored as to get his dowry for him." Zhuge Changfeng snickered. "I'm only praising the Luo clan so much because of this tripartite stalemate plan. Have the tigers tear each other apart, while he reaps the benefits. But does he think I'll just stand by and let him do that? I will entangle the Imperial family into this mess, and jumble the board so much he won't be able to tell left from right. Ha ha ha, since he wants chaos, I'll give him a helping hand and raise hell. We'll just have to wait, and see who will be the true reaper in the end." The 2 elders praised. "The Prime Minister is brilliant." Meanwhile, Xuefan went back to the lounge, dodging past Long Yifi and company. Long Yifi's side at the gone princes. Crown Prince, a man of such impeccable conduct, is looking for a faction as well. The Imperial capital isn't as calm as the surface. The others nodded. These guys all had decades behind them and could sniff out any undercurrent. Xuefan agreed as well, but wasn't worried. With the Luo clan growing day by day and on the initiative, who could rein them in when they were in constant transformation? Steward Zhua, someone has come with an invitation. Captain Peng ran over. Xuefan glanced at it, and at the sight of the second prince's name, he laughed. I just send away the crown prince, and the second one comes right after. The second prince is filled with wild ambitions, always discussing with the houses in secret. But everyone looked down on him, until recently, when he got tangled with Hell Valley. To vie for the throne, I presume. Grandmother urged. Steward Zhua, you'd best avoid getting into the Imperial family's affairs, lest you incite trouble. Humph, I fear no trouble. But what does this second prince think he is, that he can just ask me to visit him? Even the crown prince paid yours truly a visit? Xuefan ripped the invitation in disdain. The others flushed with shame. Steward Zhua has nerves of steel. Coming to such a decision with such a reasoning. While they were weighing the pros and cons, and how to ease up on refusing the guy, Xuefan, on his high horse as he always was, never failed to look the part of the egotistical boss. Oh? Checking the second invitation, Xuefan read. Parish. The third pillar, demigod Xuanji. Narrowing his eyes, Xuefan pondered. Now that he thought about it, he had yet to pay this 1,000-year-old mystifying clan a visit. And here it was knocking on his door. Chapter 366 Xuanji. Chapter 366 Xuanji. Elite Coder. Yun clan, the most secretive clan since the founding of Tianyu. It was not like the 7 noble houses, guarding the borders, but a clan every emperor had relied heavily on. This clan had mastered an amazing and strange skill. In every generation, there would be one person who knew how to read the heavens, a sacred bloodline that could infer the fate of the nation. This bloodline didn't offer them power, but allowed them to look into a person's fate, and the empire's path. With ultimate precision their eyes saw the world, so to speak. They gleaned fate through signs unperceived by others and presented the emperor with the most accurate conclusion. This person was called High Priest in every generation, a title the emperor bestowed. Rumor had it that in the Tianyu Empire's most dire need, the High Priest was the one to recommend Dugu Zhangtian for marshal and Zhuge Changfeng for minister to the emperor. This led to the powerful 4 pillars of today, bringing prosperity to the nation. The current High Priest was the 7th clan head of the Yun clan, the one they called demigod Yun Xuanji. Xuefan mulled it over. They say Yun Xuanji doesn't care about mundane affairs, so how come he knows about me? Steward Zhua, he is an incredible man. Since he has invited you, he must want to convey something of dire importance. You have to go. Grandmother spoke after seeing the invitation. Raising an eyebrow, Xuefan eyed her, then the rest. You guys are quite respectful of Yun Xuanji. Is he that trustworthy? Absolutely. Yun Xuanji is an anomaly in Tianyu. Be it the emperor, Zhuge Changfeng, Dugu Zhangtian, or the 7 houses, everyone would knock on his door whenever they faced something beyond their understanding. And he answers each time. I once visited Sir myself, and his words brought light to my eyes. Long Yifi smiled, recalling the fond memory. It only worked to get Xuefan more curious. How is it that the emperor leaves this threat, a mystic whose words shape the nation and even lead the houses, alive? Xuefan was clear on one thing. Chaos bred heroes while peace killed mystics. The world was perfect, peaceful and safe. But your sudden scrying and spouting of the world falling into chaos, with anyone vying for the throne, will shake the empire to its core, no? This led to those mystics raving about some monarch founding a nation to be the first put down after the nation was up and running, to prevent calamity. No one wanted for others to use their words and steal their throne. One other reason why Xuefan had such disdain for anything related to heaven, providence, and the like. Huang Puqin Tian wouldn't shut up about it. He laughed in his face, of course, labeling him as another duped moron in his mind. But now, the Yun clan had not only developed this art to perfection, it even had authority. Men, friends and enemies alike, paid social visits for answers to their problems. It was a clear violation to the Imperial family, yet the emperor never once snuffed it out but kept it close for 1,000 years. This was more than baffling, insane. Even the house lords burst out laughing at his conundrum. Ha ha ha, Steward Zhua, what you don't know is that the Yun clan has never shied away from the straight and narrow. It treats everyone as guests, yet never holds favorites. It never involves itself in court affairs, taking neutral ground and never crossing the line, the only reason the Imperial family's fears were abetted. Unlike any other mystic, Yongning has an ancestral teaching. The walks of life are numerous, heaven ever-changing and humanity's wisdom boundless. Xiaofeng grinned. Xuefan pondered, but shook his head in the end. Isn't that the same as saying, at the end of it all you have only yourself to rely on? That's just it. His words guide you on your path. As for succeeding, it all comes down to you. This is what makes the Yun clan incredible. Long Yifi laughed. Xuefan's eye twitched. Well, I think he is a hustler. To juggle so many big shots sure takes skill. I'm looking forward to meeting him. Who knows, I may learn a thing or two on how to use you guys better. Even better. If you can learn anything, we'll be coming to you for guidance. Ha ha ha. Everyone burst out laughing. Xuefan's hand holding the card shook, but his eyes were focused. He called Yongning a mystic, but he was more than clear that for the Emperor and Zhuge Changfeng to show utmost respect towards it, it had to be more than that. I have to visit them. He cupped his hands and took his leave, heading for Parish. It took 15 minutes to arrive before a huge gate. Parish was written above it, but unlike its glorious name as a third pillar, it looked downright poor. The Yun clan is truly honest despite the 1,000-year-long fame. Nodding, Xuefan knocked. The heavy gate creaked open and a 9-year-old kid walked out. Giving Xuefan a once-over, he bowed in respect. May I know who Sir is and your purpose? A merchant. I heard of the high priest scrying and wished to consult him. Xuefan found discretion was the better part of valor, so he chose to probe the unknown kid. The kid frowned and counted on his fingers before bowing in apology. Forgive me, but clan head is tending to an important guest these 3 days and can't receive you. You may come afterward. Let me make you a reservation. Xuefan regarded the kid deeply and nodded inside. Yongning sure is fair. So lofty yet hearing the people's needs. Even their kid is polite. At the very least, it knows how to raise their clansmen. If it were the Luo clan's guards meeting some nobody wishing to see the great Steward Zhua, he'd have been slapped silly rather than waste words. Yongning advocated virtue, a stark contrast from your common mystic. Ha ha ha, child, I won't tease you any more. I have received an invitation. Here. Pinching the cutie's cheeks, Xuefan laughed. The kid lit up and bowed. Oh, best steward beneath heavens, forgive me for not recognizing you, Sir Zhua. Clan head has long been expecting you. The kid led the way. With Xuefan smiling behind, they passed many water pavilions and stopped before a large structure. Looking up, Xuefan found it to be 100 meters tall, at the least. Here is the Parish's observatory. Clan head is currently tending to a guest. Please wait here while I inform him. The child bowed again. Xuefan nodded and the child left. 15 minutes later, Xuefan's eyes roamed all over the place, bored out of his mind, when he heard angry and rough shouts. Why are they so familiar? Going around the observatory and onward, he arrived at a house. The child from before was now kneeling in front with a lowered head. Did he wait here not wanting to disturb the clan head? Sir Zhua, the child noticed him and cried out. Xuefan only gestured for him to be silent. Then, to the child's shock, he tiptoed over and peeked through the seams of the door. He was dying to know who Xuanji was seeing. He got the shock of his life. There were 3 people inside. One was a sitting grizzled old man with closed eyes and impeccable conduct. He was assumed to be High Priest Xuanji. As for the other 2, Xuefan was more than familiar with them. Huangpu Tianyuan and Ling Wucheng. Huangpu Tianyuan was the one raving. High Priest, your scrying has never failed, so why is it this time that it is completely different? Indeed. I can infer human minds, but not heaven's will. Something I admire the High Priest for. Lin Wucheng cupped his hands. But this time, I am unable to readily accept the High Priest's error. 20 years ago you told us that the eldest young master is fit to rule, that it was a wonderful omen. But now. Xuanji nodded and sighed. Indeed, your eldest young master had the rare earth dragon disposition. He needed to pass 3 tribulations and his future would have been limitless. What tribulations? Huangpu Tianyuan spat. Xuanji not once opened his eyes. These three were a part of heaven's plan I dare not divulge. But since he had come to pass, it no longer applies. They are heaven's will, Father and Son, and Sin. Which of them was Xuefan? Ling Wuchang asked. Xuanji shook his head. Neither. Then why say there were three? Aren't they clearly four? It was even one that took his life. Huangpu Tianyuan boomed. Xuanji was a bastion of tranquility in the face of a storm. Heaven is ever-changing, though some movements can be tracked. With a human having 3,000 paths to choose from, his life can take a myriad of turns. But your dear son's tragic loss is a true accident. Xuefan was holding his mouth for his dear life. He was more and more sure this Xuanji guy was a hustler through and through. Who the hell would say an expert like Huangpu Qingtian's death was an oopsie? Huangpu Tianyuan and Ling Wuchang twitched. It was the first time hearing such a word from Xuanji. He used to drone on about fate working in mysterious ways, some kind of elegant and convoluted explanation that had them all bow in admiration of the infallible truth it held. But this time, he offered no such thing, writing it all off as an accident. Is he trying to give Parish a bad name? Chapter 367 You Should Be Dead. Chapter 367 You Should Be Dead. Elite Coder. Face twitching, Huangpu Tianyuan clenched his fists and felt a sudden, totally understandable, urge to deck the old man. High Priest, haven't you always preached that no life is by accident? That heaven has decreed everything? Even if a mistake happens, it is only a fork in the road that is fate. Aren't you the one mistaken then? Why is it that when it comes to Qingtian's turn, it's an accident? One's path is impermanent, heaven ever shifting, and of the world's myriad creatures, no one can escape their destiny. With how the world has 8 gates, opening, torpor, life, harm, impediment, spectacle, shock, death, to enter the gate of life is to be alive, to enter the gate of death is to die, to enter the gate of torpor is to lag in lethargy and be in a slur, to enter the gate of spectacle is to have a bright future. But in any case, it always revolves around taking one of the 8 gates, never outside them. Thus one can't escape their destiny. Xuanji took a deep breath. After speaking of how mysteries had intricacies and intricacies had mysteries, he sighed. However, as there are myriads of living beings, an anomaly is bound to appear. There comes a time when a singular man stands outside heaven's control. Huangpu Tianyuan's eyes twitched, clueless where he was going with this rant. Ling Wuchang, however, did get it. You mean to say Xuefan isn't part of heaven's schedule? Huangpu Tianyuan snapped his stunned eyes on Ling Wuchang. What does that mean? Xuanji never elaborated, resuming after a long pregnant pause. We shall stop here. I have spoken too much already. You are now on your own. Show yourselves out. This coots kicking his guests out. Huangpu Tianyuan choked, and a blazing fire scorched his heart. He really wanted to thrash this geezer. Not making a word of sense, and now he was giving them the boot? The two's minds went out of commission for a second there. Ling Wuchang was the first to act though, stopping his lord's assault on the defenseless old man and bowing. Thank you, High Priest, for your counsel. I understand fully, and we shall now take our leave. We shall come again another time. Hey, Sir Lang, understand what? I didn't get anything out of that rant. Huangpu Tianyuan roared. Ling Wuchang waved. Estate Lord, let's go. The High Priest has already given us clear advice. Xuefan is an anomaly, either friend nor foe. He has nothing to do with us. You're calling all that nothing? He has killed so many of our people. And you want to just forget about revenge? Huangpu Tianyuan watched Ling Wuchang in shock. Why is Sir Ling speaking in riddles like this, coot? Ling Wuchang merely pulled him outside. Estate Lord, I will explain everything when we get back. Rumble. Ling Wuchang opened the door only to bump into the peeping Tom. He cried. Xuefan! What are you doing here? A total coincidence. Ha ha ha, just like you came to ask how to deal with me, I've also come to High Priest for pointers on what's the best way to get rid of you guys. Xuefan taunted with a snicker. Though isn't it funny how we both visit the same person for our problems? Humph, ignorant whelp, Parish has stood tall for 1,000 years, above mundane affairs. And they won't start doing it now for a measly conflict. They are merely here to point out our path and clarify our purpose. Ling Wuchang put on a cold smile. Besides, now that I fully understand our circumstances, Luo clan may be evolving day by day, but it will be at the heart of chaos. Attack us and both our houses will fall, leaving others to reap the benefits. Intellectuals like you and me aren't dumb enough to choose this path. Xuefan gave him a deep look and nodded. Right on. But understand this, who was it that kept backing off in front of the Imperial palace? Shuddering, Ling Wuchang clenched his fist. It was the greatest humiliation of his life to be pushed around by Xuefan. Ha ha ha, Sir Ling, you know you can't beat me, yet you are also scared to face me. It must be. Xuefan snickered, his finger pointing at his heart. Here is where you fall short. You don't have my drive, just a mere counselor unable to achieve anything noteworthy. Ha ha ha. The mockery was jarring to Ling Wuchang's ears. His eyes bloodshot, his fingers digging into his palms, unable to hold himself back from trembling. It was a naked taunt and scorn, but all he could do was bear with it. They couldn't face Xuefan as he was now, he was too strong. Besides the fact that he was now one of the big players in the grand scheme of things. They were not about to throw caution into the wind over this little hiccup. The kneeling child was stumped, living his whole life in the parish. All he had ever met were respectful and courteous people, even if hypocritical. In other words, this child had only seen the light of the world, and never its black and foul darkness. Today was the day when he got exposed to humanity's most morbid side. Xuefan hardly needed lengthy speeches to poke at Ling Wuchang. Those few words contained more than enough unbridled malice that he would appear to be like a hellhound out for blood. And each word shocked the poor child's naive heart more than the last. He was afraid. So this is the corruptive darkness that courses through outsiders' veins. Xuanji sighed with his eyes closed. Ling Wuchang took long breaths to calm down somewhat. He refrained from talking back and instead pulled an enraged Huangpu Tianyuan. Estate Lord, let's go. Xuefan watched them leave with a grin, then turned to the dumbstruck kid, patting his shoulder with a snicker. Sonny, see that? Look how those guys left bleak and despondent before yours truly. Am I cool or what? The child was too shocked to speak. Steward Xue, please refrain from corrupting my disciple. High Priest finally opened his deep eyes with a casual shrug. Xuefan grinned, pinching the kid's cheek again before going in. After that peeping fiasco, he was rid of all respect he ever had for High Priest, thinking, just a hustler. And since he was a mere peak profound heaven expert, he had lost all interest. Too sprawling in his seat and drumming the table, Xuefan said. So, why did the High Priest call me over? Looking at him for a long 15 minutes, Xuanji nodded. As I suspected, Steward Xue is a man among men. Stuff it. If I'd been any more normal, I'd be dead. Now why did you invite me? Xuefan slapped the table with a scoff. He shot to his feet, heading for the door. If you're all out of shticks to convince me, then see ya. And don't try that fate stuff with me. It won't work, nor can I understand it. Do us both a favor and save it. Xuefan left with a sneer. Xuanji only spoke as he was about to take the first step outside. You should be dead. Rumble. Xuefan froze with his leg in the air. His eyes filled with shock. Xuanji cut into him quickly. He did die once already. Be it Luo clan's servant, Xuefan, or Sacred Domain's demonic emperor, Zhui Yifan, they had both died. Xuefan was the demonic emperor's resentment, borrowing this servant's body to be reborn. He still had the case of identity disorder. Was he Zhui Yifan or Xuefan? Through the use of 9 Serenity's secret records, out of 2 deaths, a life was born. This was his greatest secret, so how did the old coot figure him out in a glance? Creaking his head back, Xuefan frowned. He now noticed the abyss in the old man's eyes, hiding a faint flicker of light, like the night's furthest star. Are the rumors true? Clan's clan heads have eyes that can pierce one's fate? This is out of this world. Not even Sacred Domain's emperors can train in such a mystical art. More importantly, is this world dominated by fate? Xuefan was a stubborn skeptic when it came to anything remotely sounding of fate, But now, he was forced to give it a second thought. Swallowing dryly, Xuefan looked heavily at him. Just who are you? Where does the Yun clan come from? He refused to believe that the mortal domain housed such an unimaginable clan. He's a branch of the Xin clan. He has to be. Yun Xuanji had a puzzled look. Steward Zhua, what are you saying? Yun clan has always lived in seclusion, being weak at fighting. At the founding of Tianyu we were asked to come out of obscurity, and have been treated as its parish ever since. To answer your question of where we come from, I can only reply with Tianyu. Xuefan was thrown in a loop now. Can a clan of such incredible skill have such bland origins? Or have they lived for so long that they forgot about their own history? Xuefan had a faint smile on and shamelessly plopped back in his seat. High Priest, please don't mind my previous outburst. So, where were we? It's been ages since I had such a refreshing chat with someone, ha ha ha. Yun Xuanji's face twitched and he laughed to himself. Steward Zhua, your reputation precedes you. Flexible, knowing no shame, and quite like myself back in the day. High Priest, are you patronizing me, or mocking yourself? Xuefan felt awkward. High Priest shook his head. We've all been young once. But now, at my age, this seat is different from how I saw it then. So I wish to have a talk with Steward Zhua, giving our all for a better tomorrow.